You are watching the Vodka stream.
What's happening, everybody? Hey, I'm here. What's happening? It's Friday. Welcome to the Vodka stream. How's the cans going, guys? Who's out there? How we doing today, huh? All right, we got Tyler here. What's going on, bud? Hopefully, you guys are cozying up. Week's over with. We're done. Now we can just relax. Have a drink or two or 6 or 7, whatever you want to have. All right, we got Mark here. What's going on there? Good evening. We got Josh. Happy Friday. How am I? I'm doing pretty good, actually. You know, had a pretty decent day. Not too bad. But for some reason, time was slow today. It was very strange. It was very busy when it came to daytime work. And I kept looking at and then I would look at the clock and be like, wow, it's only like 1:30. Feels like it should be 4. It was interesting, but still. And then even like today, when I clocked out, went to go get my stuff that I needed for today. And then when I came home, put on the game, or first I recorded my Dune review. Hopefully you guys watched that. And then got that. And then I'm just like, man, it's not even 6 o'clock yet. I'm just like, man, time is just slow today, which I guess could be a benefit, because usually time is like, what the hell? Time just moves so quickly. You're there. Don't worry. I see you. Bring in them. We got you. All right. What's going on, Stephanie? Cheers to the weekend. Yes, for sure. Should be a good weekend. And we'll be spending some time with some family on Sunday, so that'll be good for a baby shower. We got Jason here. What's going on, bud? Yeah, I'd long as your guy. Oh no, as my guy, my source. Yeah, yeah. I think you're probably not the first one who thought that too, but it is not him. It is not him. But I have met the guy in real life. We actually attended the first Snyder Con together. He was there, so I did. I have met him in real life, and I've had many conversations. But no, he was not my guy to when it came to all this. But still, he has some information. He's worked in the biz in the industry. It's going to be cool to pick his brain a little bit. Cheers, Mark. Ahoy, ahoy, Jason. Good to see you, Abel. How much going on? What we drinking? Well, I mean, Dune just came out, so I was like, all right, obviously the spice must flow. So what did I get? Got a little Captain, a little spice rum, of course. Thought it was fitting, trying to whatever big movie's coming out during the weekend. You want to kind of fit the theme, I did make a vodka martini when Bond came out, so I figured, well, let's get some spice rum. So cheers, guys. Cheers. Mm. Oh man, it's been so long, and I already had I'm not gonna lie, I already had one, but it's it's funny how because I'm mainly a bourbon and vodka guy. So when you drink like a rum, like a spice rum, it's amazing how smooth and just no bite to it, especially when it's like nice and cold and it's got the vanilla flavor. Man, it's really good. What's going on, Chuck? Saw Dune and thought it was amazing. I believe it will be, yeah. Let's hope. That'd be pretty sweet if it ends up getting to that point. We got Selena Kyle here. Hey, what's going on, Mama Film Junkie? Just heard that Scherzer is not going to be pitching. What happened? Scherzer's not pitching for Game 6? That's no good. That's a little suspicious. Is he okay? I don't know what's going on with that. Just watched Long Halloween. Good. It's a great movie. I can't wait for the deluxe version. Full on. Cannot wait for that. So, really can't. What? Let's see. There's a typo. Oh, yeah. It says Vidka. Thank you for pointing that out, Steph. Appreciate that. Here. It's the Vidka. The Vidka. The Vidka stream. The Vidka stream. There you go. Thank you for pointing that out. Luckily, it's not, it's still spelled right down there, at least. So there you go. I just fixed it. Hopefully, it'll populate in there. I just watched Dune. Amazing. Good. Glad everybody's watching it. Hopefully, you're watching it on the biggest screen possible. Let's get it. Yeah. Oh, there's Jose. How's it going, Jose? How you feeling? Huh? How you feeling? Your boy ain't pitching. His arm fell off. It's not a joking matter. His arm fell off. What was he doing? Because I know Scherzer, it's funny because I just saw him. I was watching the Red Sox and Astros game, and goddamn, those Astros just can't be stopped. But at the same time, Red Sox are actually putting up a bit of a fight. It's not like a blowout or anything, and they have to, of course. But I just saw Scherzer in an Indeed commercial, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I mean, Scherzer's a character, man. He's definitely a character. He's crazy. He definitely is crazy, but that's what makes him so good. That's the thing. He's crazy. I mean, I thought it was hilarious when they did when they won the wild card game and they did a post game interview and he was full on nipples out and he was half drunk and it was amazing. It was amazing. So I wonder who's going to pitch. I don't know. I when it comes to Dave Roberts, I always worry about Dave Roberts when it comes to how he handles his pitchers and his bullpen and stuff like that. So that's whiskey there. Good for you, man. Yeah, it's a little interesting. Seeing Dune in IMAX, can't wait. Yeah, good. And we won't be talking about spoilers tonight. We'll of course be talking about Dune, but I always like to at least leave a week. Maybe next week we'll get into more spoilery territory on the stream, but we won't talk spoilers because obviously it just opened. So, and I mean, technically, the book's been out for decades, but not everybody's seen it, so we'll relax on that. Don't worry. So overworked and fatigued. Looks like Price. Okay. I was wondering what happened to Price. Like he wasn't even like I was watching the game last night and he was like he wasn't even on the roster or something like that for the championship series. I always thought that was interesting. So anyways, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I still got a slight bad taste in my mouth. So if I giggle a little, if if the Dodgers lose, I apologize in advance, but not really. Just the way that the series with the Giants ended, just left a bad taste in my mouth. Yeah. Okay. Let's preparing my tweet here to get my guest in here. Make sure. Let's see. I got the right link. All right. We're good. All right. But yeah, we'll see what happens, and I'm kind of curious to see what happens with the Red Sox and the Astros. I mean, it seems like these Astros just cannot be stopped, man. I tell you. I tell you what. Anyways, all right, guys, let's go ahead and get my guest in here. Like I said, it's a guy who I've been talking to for a while. He's always been part of the community. Never been on like the super front lines. It's probably a good thing, but he's always had a knowledge of certain things, and he's always been a cool dude. And yeah, I just was like, you know what? Let's talk to Ken. What's going on, Ken?
Hey, what's up, Dave? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How you doing? Yeah, you're good. You're good. Don't worry.
Awesome.
Everything's working. Thanks for joining, my friend. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Like,
it was
first ever.
Yeah. Well, I just fear I was like, because we've talked to each other for a while, probably since it's probably been since before the theatrical version of Justice League came out. And I just never really thought. And then I thought like, oh man, would you ever want to just come on and just kind of talk about some things? I mean, because obviously you work in the biz, always, and we've met, of course, obviously at SnyderCon, which was a great time. That was a fun time. Hopefully the second one will happen, but who knows? I don't know what the status with all that is, but yeah. So I just figured like, just come on, grab a drink. Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
What do you got there?
I'm not a big liquor guy. I'm more of a beer guy. So
that's fine.
I have my shock top here, and
yeah, it's good stuff. No, like I said, I don't discriminate on drinks. I don't. Like, hey, if you want to drink water, that's perfectly fine, and that'll happen. I'm like, hey, while you're hydrating, I'm dehydrating. Nothing wrong with that. So, but yeah.
First off, man, congrats, dude. Like your stream is like blowing up, man. Like from the first time I came across your stream, or even on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Yeah, but congrats on everything, man.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean it's been an interesting ride, especially the past year. That's for sure. Just the way that everything's gone, and in the guests and everything, it's just it's been pretty insane. It's been pretty insane, and just the people that you meet and everything. I mean, when we went to SnyderCon, I mean, it was just videos. It really wasn't. I mean, I don't know if the vodka. I think the vodka stream maybe existed. I don't know. It's always funny because I always will have the YouTube feed up on my laptop, and sometimes when I get done with this, it'll bring up an older one like from a year and a half ago. And then I remember one night I actually went back and I was like, how long have I been doing this? I mean, it's pretty much been 2 years. So it's just where it started with just my webcam on my computer at my computer desk to just having people show up, and then to have actual, actors, actresses, directors, crazy, just absolutely crazy. So I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. So basically, I mean, obviously, okay. How long have you been working in the movie industry?
I would say almost 8 to 9 years now, maybe. I'm not sure when did I start? Because I started with WB. Actually, that's kind of funny because obviously I wanted to be somewhere in the film industry business in a way, but they called me up for a EA position,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of awkward. I'm like, okay, I've never been an EA, but I think it was a great way for me to like get my foot in.
Mm-hmm. And
I
what's an
think
EA position exactly?
executive assistant.
Okay. Okay. I figured it
So
was assistant. I wasn't sure what the E stood for.
yeah, I was an executive assistant for a VP in one of their finance department, which is I never been to. I never worked in a finance before, but I think it was because I was with at that time with Turner
Mm-hmm.
ad sales facilities, and which is Turner was at that time under the Time Warner umbrella. So it was just a transfer for me going from Turner to WB. So, but I took it. But if you ever want to be whoever wants to be a EA, you just gotta have some like tough minded skills
Yeah.
and best organization skills ever,
Mm-hmm.
because you're like have to be on it and on the spot, because you're like you're the VP's eyes and ears as far as booking calendars and meetings, because like VPs are like on meetings every day, every hour. So
Yeah.
but yeah, if you're anybody out there planning to be an EA or any business, but yeah, it's supposed
Learn
to,
how to use Excel. Microsoft Excel could be
yeah.
your yes. Yeah. Trust me. I mean, even in my field that I work in the daytime, I mean, Excel, that is just, I think with anything, with any kind of organization that you want to have, learn Microsoft Excel the best you can, because that could really save you when it keeps like like you said, for meetings and everything, just keeping track.
Definitely.
Oh man, I tell you what. So did you like go to school for any of this,
No,
or
well,
were you
at
just
that
go to
time,
school for something
no,
else?
no, because oh no, actually, I did. While I was before WB, I was with Turner, and I wanted to
Yeah.
go to the studio side, but I'm sending my resume here and there, everywhere, all the studios, but I wasn't getting any feedback. So I was like, man, I just gotta beef up my skills and whatnot. So I did go to art school.
Mm-hmm.
And funny thing was, I looked at um the art college where Zach was,
Pasadena, yeah.
Pasadena. I almost went there, but it was just too far because Turner was in Century City,
Hmm.
and then I would go from Century City after work, go all the way to Pasadena, which I would never make. So I passed on
Yes,
that.
but yeah, not in this
Yeah,
traffic down here. No way.
right. So but at that time I didn't know Zach. That was Zach's
Yeah,
school. But yeah, but I went to art school in North Hollywood here, the Arts Institute of California,
yeah,
animation, media arts and animation. So I went there for a few years, and while going to school, That's when I transferred to WB, and from there, just do a lot of networking and just meeting a lot of people, pretty much. And
oh,
that's but yeah, you gotta have people skills, because you're gonna need to network around a lot of people and get to familiarize other departments, other groups, so that you're well aware of your surroundings, and people are aware of you and stuff. So just yeah, you just gotta network around, and yeah, from WB's just, which is awesome, by the way. While I was there, and then I went to another studio, um, 20th Century Fox, which is
yeah.
cool.
Notice that. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it was cool. Had a great time there. We were doing a lot of content there, and at that time, it was more on the creative side, which was what I really liked about it. So,
like
um,
what were you specifically like doing like at Warner Brothers?
at that time, I was just an EA for
Okay.
one of the VPs. Yeah. So, um, and which is fine with me, because again, I just wanted to get in the studio side,
Yeah.
and from there, hopefully meet people and network
Network.
around people. And so, but I was offered, or what I was looking to move up or move around. 20th Century Fox is something that I saw that I took,
Mhm.
so I went there. it was great. I went there because it was more on the creative side. We were doing a lot of content for new release titles.
Nice.
Yeah, so if you guys see like if you have your Bohemian Rhapsody Blu-rays, and what else was that, Widows, all those bonus contents, that's what we did.
Oh, okay.
And on the iTunes side of that, that's what I did. So if you don't
Nice.
like the thumbnails in the iTunes, that's probably my fault. But
it's this guy. He's like, wait a
yeah.
minute, why didn't that work? No, that's cool. Like,
Yeah, by the way,
yeah.
Full disclosure, my opinions are my own.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So anything he says, opinion's his own.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as we'll try to pick his brain on any little secrets that he can reveal, it's mainly just his opinions right there. So full disclosure right there off the bat. So don't worry, we got you. We got you. So you were at WB for how long?
I would say almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. Nice.
Yeah. Then I went to Fox, 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years there until then the Disney buyout.
Yeah.
And yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't transferred to Disney, but the Fox Entertainment, the one that wasn't bought by Disney, I was hired there.
Okay.
So now I was with the TV side in that Fox Entertainment. We were doing promos for TVs. So, and that was, my crew there was really cool. So I had fun there as well. Yeah, I did that.
So, okay, so that's what I was going to ask too. Is like, so not everything was bought out by Disney. So
no.
Yeah. Well, some people, yeah. I mean, I know when that was all happening, and they gave like a list of like what Disney was specifically going to own. It wasn't going to be every little part of it. So,
because they couldn't buy out Fox Sports because they already have ESPN, obviously, and all that stuff. So there are a lot of other things. So there's still Fox in the Fox lot, but Disney is also in the Fox lot as well. So it's kind of like a hybrid lot in a way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. How was it when you first went over there? Like your first day? Like walk me through that. How was that? I mean, that's got to be obviously it was exciting. I mean, first off, you're leaving Warner Brothers, which I'm sure that was, you had some memories there, but moving on to bigger and better, and then walking onto that Fox lot had to be pretty interesting, especially with the Disney stuff.
Yeah. In WB actually is a lot of fun. On my lunch break, I would walk around a lot.
Yeah.
And I would eat at the commissary, and then I would walk around before I go back to I would actually pass by at that time Zach's
his office, right? Yeah.
It was in the lot, so I would pass by his office, and I would see his car there, his Mercedes. Not that I was stalking him or anything, but
no, lies. Every day you were like, "Hey, Zach." Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was like, I was walking like, maybe he'll come out. I'll walk slower.
So he never did? Did he ever come out?
No.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately. Yeah. That was kind of funny. But yeah, no, it's the lots are pretty cool. It's so cool. Yeah, because
there's a lot of history. There's a lot of history.
Yeah.
When I walked the the Warner Brothers lot, when I went on there for like it was just interesting to be, just to be on there. You could just feel and see like, oh, that's where they shot Friends. Oh, that's where you could see like where they shot things, and you just like all these like iconic shows or movies. You're like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy how it was. Parts of it was shot here, just right next to each other, all just right next to each other. It's just crazy the amount of history that some of these lots have. Even when you go to Universal Studios, I mean, I remember you go to Universal Studios. I mean, obviously they converted part of it to be like a theme park. I remember specifically a long time ago where I forgot what ride we were waiting for, but I remember looking off, and there was a warehouse in the distance, one of the stages, and I remember just seeing like it looked like futuristic stuff, like that was kind of peeking out. They had the doors open, And I went, man, I wonder what's happening there. Turns out that's where they shot the Scream video for Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson. Like, it was funny because all of a sudden they were doing like this whole thing on MTV, and they showed that exact door and that futuristic looking whatever the hell it was. And I'm like, I remember as a kid, I was like, what the heck? We were just right there. That's crazy, And it's interesting. Like, literally, I was waiting in line for like some kind of ride at Universal Studios when in the distance they were shooting, or maybe they weren't shooting at the time, but yeah, Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson were shooting a video in that lot. And it's just crazy. It's crazy to think about. But I remember just like, I was like, Leo DiCaprio and Once Upon a Time, just like, I remember seeing that door open and that right there. What the hell? Yeah. So,
actually, I worked at Universal Studio here at.
Did you?
Yeah, back in I think it was a summer job back in high school.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a summer job. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
So you always had like, you've always wanted to have something to do with like whatever. I mean, basically just growing up, you just had like a love for movies and creative stuff.
Yeah, but I wasn't like aware of it. But but that's when I got into Turner, that's when I thought, okay, maybe I can get into studios. So, but yeah, I had to take school just to, just got to. And I'm looking at the comments here. It's pretty funny. He said, awesome, canceled.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that I know, how people are. Yeah. Well, I love it when people joke about that. I mean, obviously you had a great experience there. I mean, yeah, when it came to what went down, I mean, what's funny too is I remember talking to you after you actually saw like a version of Justice League before it came out, and I remember you even kind of went like, I'm not sure that was what Zach wanted. I remember that, and it was kind of funny because I remember when I read your message, I remember just leaning back going, oh shit, like it just was like one of those things where it just kind of went like, we were hoping that this wasn't going to be the case. Like they weren't going to fuck with it so much. And it was still going to be mostly his movie. But I remember you specifically said that. And I remember just like, I didn't answer right away. And just kind of going, oh man, here we go. This is going to be interesting to see how this. And I remember, you went to a test, like essentially a test screening, right? For Justice League.
It was when I saw it, it was like, I mean, it was a fun movie, but it wasn't the Zack Snyder movie that we're accustomed to, so you can totally tell the difference after BVS and then
going to that.
But I mean, it was a fun movie, but otherwise it's just a chopped up movie that's been chopped up.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. Like so when you were working with Warner Brothers, and this whole thing like started, with the Snyder Cut and everything that came to be. I mean,
actually, I was gone already by that time.
You were what?
I was gone.
Okay, so you were already gone by that time.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
So there wasn't like any walking around and hearing whispers and talking to people and being like, what's going on with this Justice League movie and what Snyder Cut and what that. So you didn't really. You were already like pretty much off the lot by then, huh?
Off the lot, yeah. I was already with 20th Century Fox, but
Was there any mention like over there, like when this thing started really taking steam about like the Snyder Cut and all the stuff? I mean, it almost, I mean, it really just like, I mean, it struck a chord throughout the industry of the fact that this whole thing just happened and fans rallied up and then got it. I mean, was there any like talk about it? Like, were there conversations that you ever had like within like your job or anything over at 20th Century?
Not in a big way. It was just, just my team or our colleagues just talking about, this people are rallying for Snyder Cut and all that stuff. Have you seen it? Have you seen this and this? Yeah. So it was just, just us in the hallway talking about it, but, but nothing like it was emailed out or anything like that. It was just between us. The cubicle or the office next door.
Yeah, I always kind of wonder though, like, you know, other departments or whatever. I mean, how many people were having conversations about this thing? I mean, because I mean, it is truly like a crazy thing that this actually happened. I mean, obviously, you were always like promoting it. You're always out
Oh
there
yeah,
promoting it, and you know, you were always a part of it. I mean, you weren't like full on, like maybe like what me and some of the stuff, and you know, sometimes it got a little crazy. Still gets a little crazy. Yeah, but you've always been relatively like, hey, you have, you know, you have your certain knowledge, and you know what? Sometimes Ken, sometimes your vague little tweets with some emojis. I'm like, I want to message you, be like, what do you know? What do you know? Because sometimes you do that, and I'm like, damn you, what do you know? What do you know? So, but
yeah,
that's what's kind of fun about it. That's what's fun with social media is like you could do that.
right,
I've done it too. I put a
right.
vague tweet or a vague GIF, and people are like, "What the hell, man?" So it's
Yeah,
fun, but
it's
yeah,
fun. Yeah, but yeah, I've always supported the Zack Snyder. But I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen it yet.
well, I know. Okay, so that's another thing I wanted to ask you is the fact
Yeah,
that you have not yet seen, even though you are wearing the beanie right now. Yes, you
supporting,
have
but
not. Yeah, you have not yet seen Zack Snyder's Justice League. Why is that?
because I want to see it in IMAX. I want to see it in the screen. If there is a chance, I guess I want it to be in IMAX, but if there is a chance to see it in a theater, definitely. But if it's in IMAX, most definitely. But I'm waiting, but hopefully it'll come, true. But if not, then I'll just watch it. I think I posted it like I'll
Yeah.
watch it, on my birthday. If it's not in the theater, I'll watch it at home then.
When's your
So
birthday?
January
January.
27th.
So there you go. So the end of January, if it hasn't happened yet,
Yeah.
man, how do you resist that? How do you resist
When did
not?
it come out? March? Is it this year? Last year?
It was this year that it came out in March. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been like over 6 months. I don't know how you've resisted not
I've
watching
I have seen some spoiler stills on
Yeah, you can't avoid
Twitter.
that.
There was like a picture of Wonder Woman. I think she was laying down with coins in her eyes.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, obviously those are what she's passed away, or I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on
It's
there.
it's it's a vision. It's a vision, of course, but
Okay. And
it's
then
yeah.
there was Black Suit Superman kneeling down to Steppenwolf with Steppenwolf's axe almost next to his
Yeah,
neck.
that's a big one. That's a big nice little
Okay.
entrance
All
here.
right, don't
Yeah.
tell me.
Okay, I won't tell you, but it's yeah, it's all. I mean, you're in for. I mean, the fact that you don't know, like you've seen the stills, but you don't know the context.
Right.
That's good. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how you've resisted. I've seen it probably like 20 something times now. I'm like, because it's just like, it's that good. But I get the fact that you want to see it in IMAX. I would love that too, more than anything. But man, as soon as I got that screener, I couldn't. I was like, all right, I can't. I'm watching. I don't care if it's on my little screen right here. I don't care. Yeah, I even had to take a break too because I got brought in to do like the fan premiere participation thing. So literally
Oh,
like 47 minutes in, I had to stop and be like, and do this thing for like 2 hours. It was literally like, oh, this sucks. I want to watch the rest of it because it's just so good. But yeah. So power to you, man, for resisting watching this thing.
yeah, I know my kids watch it already, but
Have they?
I think so because
Yeah.
when you go to HBO Max, you'll see on their on the thumbnail, you see if it's at the bottom, if it's somebody or where you left off, pretty much, or there's like a purple
Yeah.
line.
Oh yeah. So you've seen that they've watched it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody did. I don't know who, but somebody did.
They watched some of it. I mean, it's a long movie, but it's broken up into chapters, which is good. You don't have to watch it all in one shot. I mean, I've watched. I don't. I think once it was funny because I remember see every like once a month my dad will like when he's working in 29 Palms, we always will have breakfast with him once a month because he'll like he'll be in town and he's working nights, and so we'll do that. And then so one time we actually watched like the first three parts, and then apparently nobody watched the rest of it until like the next month, until like, and I'm like, did you guys finish this thing yet? And he's like, no, actually we didn't. And I was like, well, what the hell? Put it back on then. And they enjoyed it, but it was just kind of funny how like they were okay with breaking it up to, I think we watched the first 4 parts and then we watched the rest of it, which is like 3 more parts right after that. So, I mean, it's got the luxury of that at least.
Wait, 29 Palms, is your parents in the military?
My dad was in the military. He was a helicopter pilot in the military, in the Army, and he's retired now. He does, basically if like someone needs to be like a patient needs to be transported quickly to a hospital, or say like out there somebody dehydrates himself and they need somebody to come in and just transport that person to the hospital. Yeah, he's a helicopter pilot.
That's cool, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, he likes it. And it's always funny because what I always love about it is anytime there is a movie that has some helicopter action, I always love to get his reaction, because most of the time it's bullshit. That can't happen. What are you talking about? My God. I mean, he essentially does what Dwayne Johnson does, what The Rock does in San Andreas. That's exactly pretty much what he, yeah, that's pretty much him right there. That's his job. But of course, when he watched that, he went, nah, you wouldn't. And he just starts picking it apart and stuff. It's always hilarious. It's always hilarious. But he still enjoys the movies. He just, anytime there's a helicopter involved, he's like, nah. I remember when Hobbs and Shaw came out, there was a helicopter, and Dwayne Johnson like wraps a chain around it and it like pulls the helicopter. He goes, that thing would have broken off. Get out of here. It's like, it's always funny to get the helicopter expert when it comes to those kind of scenes right there. So yeah, it's cool. He enjoys it. He's going to probably retire soon from that, which is like, come on, man, it's time to retire. But he loves to fly. Definitely loves to fly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you gone up with him?
I have not. It's never, I mean, he's, for a bit there, like when he was in the Army, he was always like in a different state than, because I mainly lived here and he was like in other places. So it never really, I've been in a simulator with him. That's about it. But it never got to that point where I've ever gone up with him. Maybe one of, before he actually retires, that'd be pretty cool. But it's always like one of those things where, you have to sign your life away, and it's kind of like one of those, they never really do that kind of stuff. I always told him, I'm like, dude, just be like just be one of those helicopter pilots that give tours around, because he lives in Vegas. That's where he actually lives. But he works at 29 Palms. He just like 1 week on, 1 week off kind of thing. And I'm like, man, just do that in Vegas and, fly us around. That'd be pretty sweet. But then again, it's like, it's Vegas. Yeah. And what is there to see? Desert and some buildings right here, all cluttered. Yeah, casinos and whatnot. So, but yeah, it's cool. But yeah, I've never been up with him. I always wanted to, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. But we'll see. And I even flew the simulator too, and I crashed. So that's good. Apparently it's not in the blood. I was like, I tried, Dad, but I crashed. Like every time I crashed the simulator. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how you do this shit. Helicopters are weird, man. They're weird. No, but anyways, the fact that you haven't resisted, that's pretty good. That's I don't know how you've held out so long, but hopefully, I don't know if if we're gonna get a Snyder Con 2 going on. Hopefully, I mean, there was talks about January, but there really hasn't been any kind of updates, and it's like we're creeping along here. We're about to get into November in a bit here, and it's like. But Zach's busy. That's the thing. Zach's so busy right now with what he's working on with Rebel Moon and the Army of the Dead universe. It's like, I don't know if he's going to have the time or what's going to happen. Who knows?
I don't blame him, but it'll be cool if it does happen.
Yeah, we'll all be there. And then, it'll actually be cool to see your reaction because you'll be seeing it for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If that does happen, because I know he wants to put it on an IMAX screen, which is part of the, he doesn't. I mean, it was shot for IMAX, so it's not going to be. I mean, let's face it. When we were at the first Snyder Con, it was pretty uncomfortable where we were, right?
Small theater.
Yeah, hot, little crunched in, man. I mean, Thank God I didn't have to pee. My God, thank God, because I was right in the middle. Yeah, I was right in the center. I don't know how many rows back. And then I was like, I think I was sitting in between the comic movie marks guys. And Matt's a big dude, so he's taking up a little bit of my armrest. Where I'm just kind of but thankfully my bladder was like, "Don't worry, I got you. We'll be okay. We'll be okay." Because it was pretty scrunched, and it was a little warm in there too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was March, so. But I remember it was pretty surreal, just kind of meeting everybody, meeting people you talk to, right? I mean, yeah, because like, oh, this is what you look like in real life. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was cool, like meeting a lot of people.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah, it's like, oh, so yeah, you're right. This is like, oh, this is how you look like. Oh, you're taller than.
Yeah, I know. It's either taller or shorter, which I got the shorter thing. I'm like, you're shorter than I thought. I'm like, sorry, my mom's short. So sadly, I was not blessed with the vertical genes. Hi, Mom. Love you. See? Yes, Stephen. What you just said right there in the chat. My dad could beat up the Rock in a helicopter. Absolutely. No, but it was a lot of fun. It's always, it is interesting. I remember even like walking where the line was.
Yeah.
Like because I met up with Swenson and his wife and the comic movie marks guys, Matt and Shane. And we met up at the coffee shop in Pasadena that Zach actually frequents. And then we all drove back to the art school, but then they had I don't know exactly what happened. So I was like walking through the thing all by myself. And then I remember when I got down to the line, and I just burst open the doors, and everybody in the front of the line just looked over, and it was just like, and everybody's like, "Film Junkee," and I was like, "Hey," and I was like, "What the fuck?" And it was just like, high five. It was crazy. It was very surreal because it's like, I'm literally there's a line and people know essentially who you are or something like that. It was very, very interesting. And then I met you and just everybody was like all around there. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, it really was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, hopefully we'll get to do it again, but we'll see what happens. But also I wanted to ask you too, is like, so is there any, so when it comes to like any kind of movies or anything have you seen Dune yet, for instance?
Not yet. Though
that's when you get on IMAX for sure.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, from what I'm reading, it's definitely an IMAX thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I opened my HBO Max today. I almost played it, but
if you could resist watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, you can resist watching Dune because you can actually go and see it in IMAX.
Yeah. So. Yeah. But the thing is, I'm like super busy because I also have like a second job, like a second gig in the weekends.
Okay.
Where I do sports.
Play guitar? Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say play guitar. I see the guitars in the background, so I thought you're like, you in a band or what's going on?
I wish I was in a band.
Yeah.
But no, I do like sports broadcasting on the weekend. So I do replays for the LA Rams and LA Chargers at SoFi.
Oh, okay.
So, and I also
I saw you post like recently, like you were at SoFi.
Yeah,
that stadium is goddamn beautiful. My God,
it's amazing. It's huge, and you will get lost in there because
it's an entire city. It seems like almost.
Yeah.
There's
like retail. There's a lake in there. There's a
lake. Oh wow. Oh yeah. Is it on the outside or when you're going in? Is it like right there or what?
What is it?
It's like the lake. Is it on the outside or is it actually inside?
No, it's right next to the
station. It's right next to it, right? Okay. Yeah. But it's a beautiful man-made lake that they put right in front of it. It's amazing. Jeez.
There's retail and condominiums and all that stuff.
Yeah. There's not a movie theater in there, is there? Or like is that something they want to add to it or something?
It's not a movie. There is a theater in there. But not a stage pretty much. They call it I think it's the YouTube stage or something. I forget what they call it.
YouTube stage. Interesting.
But yeah, there's a theater for theatrical stage in there.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty
And then
big.
yeah, I've heard like I mean, now they're like, I mean, I guess they're making up for when the football season last year when they couldn't have anybody in the stadium. Now they're trying to make up for it. It seems like when there's not a football game that's happening, they're like, hey, let's get the Rolling Stones in here. Let's get
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses. I mean, they're just like trying to get that thing. At least, let's make some money. I mean, because let's face it, they poured in a shit ton of money into that thing. I mean,
We did, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's a
I
beautiful. I mean,
think
it looks like. Go ahead.
those bands were scheduled to open like SoFi like within that month, but I think obviously the COVID they had to reschedule and everything. So now they're like, yeah, like you said, they're pouring everything in for concerts and stuff. So yeah. But I don't do that. I just do the LA Rams and Chargers as a replay over there, and I also do all other stadiums if they invite me to do replays or playbacks for them.
Okay.
Yeah. So
where can people catch this?
Well, all the replays we do or I do is in house. So it's not like you'll see it in your network TV. So it's basically in house.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they don't ever like post it on like YouTube or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
It's just an in-house production pretty much. So if you're in SoFi Stadium, all the replays you see in the video board, that's pretty much us.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're just doing that. Okay, for some reason I was thinking like you guys were like talking while it happened or something.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so you're just doing that. So you're just because I remember seeing shots of like the inner workings of all that, and you see like all the screens and everything, and it's insane like how much can really go into all that. I mean, obviously when it comes to the replays, that's such a big part now, such a big part of the game because you get these close calls. You have to. I mean, it has to be, especially when they're challenging something. I mean, everything's so close.
Definitely.
You have to be right on top of that. And that's, I mean, I'm always amazed, even like when I go to baseball games or whatever, it's just right on the board. It's already playing, and it's already playing in slow motion. It's already zoomed in. It's got different angles. And I mean, you really got to be on top of that stuff.
Yep. We have like, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? We have 5 replay operators at SoFi.
5,
including myself.
Nice.
And then there's a replay producer. Yeah, so it's
that's just a side gig, huh?
Yeah, on the weekends they'll invite me, or I also, it's SoFi and Dignity Health in Carson where LA Galaxy play soccer here, football. Yeah. I do replays over there too and playback. And sometimes UCLA will ask me if I'm available, like for basketball or football.
Okay.
So it depends, or even USC.
So you're basically you're like contracted out or something like that? Is
that
like a whole thing? You're kind of doing like a freelance
on the
thing?
weekends.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's gotta be that's gotta be a fun gig. It's like, all right, I'll just show up and watch some sporting events and just be on top of the replays. Fuck yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
It's not a bad side gig.
I think this Sunday I'll be at SoFi for a Rams game, I believe.
Who are they playing? I forgot. They're kicking ass right now, by the way.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, for Rams. I'll be in SoFi this Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, my God. I mean, the Rams, I mean, it's nothing against Goff. He's good, but he just, I don't know. I mean, he just didn't fully have it. And now that they have Stafford, it's like, and Stafford needed that team.
Right.
And it was like a match made in heaven. He needed that team. Like he was just going over at the Lions. And now that he's with the Rams, it's like, look at this guy go. Look at this team go. I mean, it seems like the Rams really have a big shot of taking the whole thing, man. I tell you.
Yeah, they have a real good chance right now. So, and plus, Stafford, with his big arm, he's just slinging it everywhere.
I know, man. I was like, because my dad, he's a Rams fan.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah, he's a Rams fan, Dodgers fan. No, sorry. No, he's just because he was born in Southern California, so he's he's Dodgers, Rams, Lakers, of course. So he's all the LA teams. So he's really happy right now. I mean, obviously he's big time happy because the Dodgers, of course, made it past.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're a Giants fan. What the hell?
Yeah, I know it's always what happens because even my mom, who shows up in the chat, she's a big time Dodgers fan too. I grew up. They tried to get me and my brother into that. We were part of the Dodger little fan club, with kids, and we were all that. But then we just went, nope, we're gonna go this way and that. Because at first, when I was a kid, I was a Mariners fan. I was all about King Griffey Jr. I love King Griffey Jr. So I was a Mariners fan through that for his entire run. And then when he got traded, I was like, all right, I tried to still be, but then I went, eh. And then I just kind of didn't have a fan base or a team really. Yeah. And then my brother was always a Giants fan. He was his favorite player was Will Clark. And yeah, so then, when it came to I don't know, the early 2000s, I guess and I'll even admit that I was a little bit of a bandwagoner, when 2010 happened, I was rooting for the Giants. So I went, you know what? I'm a Giants fan now. Fuck it. So I've only been a Giants fan for 11 years. And I will say that, yes, when they started that little every other year when they were winning the World Series. Yeah. Yes, that's when I kind of started. That's when I started being a Giants fan. Yeah. But yeah, my dad always says that too. Even my mom, like, hey, you grew up with all this stuff and you're still a Giants fan. That's unbelievable. It's like, hey, it's fun. It makes it fun because we have bets. We have, yeah, it's always fun. So
I get it.
But yeah, the way that ended, man, I didn't like it.
But I get it. Yeah, I'm all about LA, but when it comes to football, I'm a Niners fan.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're a Niners fan. Nice.
Yeah, only because when I was growing up, there was this nothing. When I was growing up, it was pretty much all about Joe Montana and Jerry Rice.
Of course.
So that's the only thing as a kid. That's the only thing I would hear. 49ers, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott, blah blah blah. So it kind of just stuck in my brain. So I became a Niner fan, even though we had two teams here in LA. At that time, it was LA Raiders and LA Rams. I think it was at that time.
Yeah, it's true.
But all I kept hearing about was Niners, Joe Montana. So when I was a kid,
so it just naturally happens. I mean, that's See, that's usually what's the case. But see, I was an Army brat, so I was going all over the place, and I was living in Alabama. It's you don't really get. I mean, I'm surprised I'm not all into the Alabama football stuff like Scott is. But it just never I never really just. I mean, like I said, when it came to the Mariner, I just loved Ken Griffey Jr. growing up. So, but we're gonna bring somebody else in here. We got Mr. Anthony. What's going on, sir? ACS, how you doing?
What's going on, Ken?
Anthony?
What's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
Thanks for joining, sir.
I like to hear the sports talk always.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's what we do on here. I mean, sometimes we veer off. I mean, some people might not like it, but I'm like, fuck it. Sports is fun.
Yeah, sports is fire. I'm watching. I was listening to you guys. I was watching. The Astros are back in the Fall Classic. So
yeah, I know.
Did they win the series?
Yeah, the Astros just beat the Red Sox.
No shit, they won, huh?
Yeah. They're presenting the American League trophy right now.
Oh man, god damn it!
It's crazy because because I live in Georgia. I'm a Braves fan, and before last night's game, I was at work, and where I work, they were just like, there's a possibility to get tickets to the World Series if it goes that route. And one of my supervisors was saying something about it. I was like, yo, shut up. I was like, be quiet. We had them 3-1 last season.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Look what happened.
And we didn't make it. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? He was like, you know what I'm saying? He was just talking about it as if when they get there, I was like, no, nothing is guaranteed. Relax.
Dude.
So yeah. And then you see what happened last night.
Yes, I know. Dude, okay, so this is it. I drive to in Riverside. There's a mall right here that has an IMAX screen. I was like, I got to see Dune in IMAX. So
yeah.
So, but before that, I was like, all right, I'm going to grab a bite. There's a Buffalo Wild Wings right next to the AMC right there. So I'm watching the game, and I'm eating some wings. And of course, the game started at like 5 something. And I'm like watching the game. I'm going, man, this is not looking good for the Dodgers. I'm like, this is just, it might be a close game. I go in to watch Dune. I come out and I'm like, looking at the score. I'm like, what the fuck? 11-2. Holy shit. What happened?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I get a text from my mom, Chris Taylor, because she loves Chris Taylor so much.
Yeah.
She's like, Chris CT3. And I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't watch it.
Yeah. He went off last night.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You just gotta. And also the Dodgers, like they pulled what is, I guess, it's become the norm when it comes to like major league teams in the playoffs. Is you have that damn it, what's the word I'm looking for? Where they use the backup pitchers, like
the bullpen, like a bullpen.
The bullpen game, yes,
yeah.
The bullpen game. And so when we did it the other night, it turned out great for us. And then the Dodgers did it last night. Turned out great for them.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but so they'll be in Atlanta tomorrow, and we'll see where that goes. I was just like, yo, chill on the World Series tickets. You know what I mean? Like,
don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We got somebody else backstage here. We got Mr. Stephen Colbert.
What up?
Yo.
Hey.
How's it going?
What's good?
It's going pretty good. We're just talking, some sports, some other stuff too.
Yeah, Steven's waiting to bring me on until he's done talking about baseball, because
I know you're a big baseball fan, Steven.
Yeah,
100%.
Also, real quick, Ken, doing that shit for the Rams, it's fire.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Because I wasn't sure, like when you posted stuff about that, I was like, "What exactly?" Replaced. Interesting. Yeah. It's got to be a lot of. Is it? Day. How long is the day usually? Like, what's the start and stop?
Like for this Sunday's game, Rams, I think the game starts at 1, I believe. But our call time is at 7 a.m.
Damn.
So, and then we stay there till obviously the end of the game, and the parking, everybody getting out of their parking situation or the traffic. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'll probably don't get home till like 6 or 7 at night, maybe.
So pretty much you're looking at a 12-hour, 13-hour day kind of thing.
Yeah, it depends on the traffic and all that, like people getting out of
But I do hear that SoFi actually, they probably, I think they maybe designed it where it's a little bit better than most places. Because let's face it, fucking Dodger Stadium, fuck that place. Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. Trying to get in and out of that place. Oh my God, you guys don't even know. Like there's like, I mean, it's gotten a little better because I think I don't know, like there's, especially because anytime usually when I go, it's Dodgers and Giants, so it's a fucking packed house. Because it's a rivalry game, So trying to get in and out of that fucking place, man. There was one time where my dad and I went to a game, and we were like we showed up. We finally showed up. We literally had to park like up a hill and run to the fucking ballpark, and it was like the third inning before we got in there. It was insane. Like it just that place was not. I mean, obviously it's an old ballpark, so it's like they weren't thinking about, hey, in like 2020 it's gonna be really bad, like the traffic. There's gonna be a lot more people in cars and stuff. So
getting out of there is crazy.
Oh yeah, it sucks.
It's forever.
Yes, every time, but they've worked a little better. But anyways, Steven, how you doing? How you feeling? Dune, I mean, you saw Dune.
Yeah.
So did you, Anthony.
Yes.
but Ken has not seen it yet. Obviously, we're not going to do spoilers, because it just came out, even though the book came out like 40 years ago, whatever.
That shooter makes you look so big.
Do what?
That shooter makes you look so big.
That's why he drinks it. That's why he
Oh,
drinks
the
it.
No,
shot?
that's a fifth. That's a
Yeah, it's a shot.
Okay, Anthony, do you get those like when you like or like because don't you travel a little bit? Is that way for your job or
The hotel?
yeah? Do you get those from the hotel bar, Anthony?
Oh, me? Oh,
Yeah.
no. Normally, if I'm drinking like liquor, I'll just get like a sleeve of some shots.
Oh,
you know
okay.
what I'm saying? I'll just keep, yeah. Because there's been times I've been on drink too fucking much. And just be like, yo,
Like last week. You disappeared. And we're like, I was just like,
no.
yeah, by the way, Anthony left. I'm not sure.
No.
Okay.
My wife was a little bit sick, so I bounced like yeah.
Right.
but normally like I get the sleeve and I can be like, okay, try to pace myself, but normally never works. So.
So that kind of helps.
Those
Those
are the trick to taking booze on a plane, because you can't take more than you can't. What is it, like a gallon total, or is it like a half gallon total?
I don't even know what it is.
But you can't take in individual sizes of more than an ounce. But so you can get like a gallon Ziploc bag and fill it with shooters of whatever you want, and basically get a gallon of hard liquor onto a plane, like legally. Like they'll look at it and check and be like, yeah, I guess that's allowed.
Yeah.
Wow,
And
that's
it's
cool.
the whole thing is the cost of like a single drink on the plane. So
well, that's why
Not
I was
that I have
asking,
that much on a
because I know
plane,
you
but
travel,
if you
Anthony. I just
wanted to.
figured you were like rounding them up in your hotel rooms. So like,
Nah.
bracket, let me take that one from here. Because I remember, I think even last week you had like one of those little bottles too.
Yeah. No, yeah. When I come on normally when I come on here, like on the vodka stream, because I can't just sip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it's beers, yes, I can sip. But if it's like alcohol, like heavy shit, I'll just take a shot here and there and just
There you go. Recharge.
Yes.
Recharge. Make that thunderbolt appear on your chest, you Black Adam looking motherfucker. By the way, how awesome. Okay, so Ken, what do you think of DC Fandom?
I only saw the ending part of the Batman.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Batman trailer was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool, the Batman.
That's nice. What was cool too is like I saw the Batman trailer on the IMAX last night when I saw Dune. I don't know if any of you guys got that trailer before.
Yeah, I did get to see the Matrix Resurrections in IMAX.
Yeah, that one too.
That shit, I got chills watching it in IMAX like before Dune started. Yes, it was fire.
Oh man, what about you, Steven? Did you get the Batman?
I did, but I don't know. I need to see it again because my I didn't see it in IMAX. But I booked it at like my local. It's Warrenburg's. And normally they're fine. I don't care which screen it's on, just because they don't have like RPX or anything huge like that, like of their own. RPX is what Regal, I think, that's their thing. And so I just take like whatever screen, and it's normally fine. But for this one, when I was booking it, I was like, oh, I need to do their Super XL or whatever the brand is that they use. And but like I think the projector was a little bit dim, and I'm pretty sure I could see pixels. Which was a little bit like, I mean, it was beautiful still for what it was, but there was moments when I was like, I feel like this is not. Also, that nobody closed the door when it started, and they don't have the crooked hallways. It sounds like a jank. It's not. It's relatively nice, but like the hallway was a straight shot, and the door was open.
Yeah.
So there's a square illumination on the bottom of the screen for the first like 30 minutes, and eventually I was like, I'm gonna fix that. So I got up, and I walked out, and I closed the door, and I came back, and it was better. But like I was a little bit disappointed that I was like hoping that someone would be like, "Thank you," but like I guess I'm the only one that cared. We'll come back to applause. Like he saved the movie.
No, but I mean, like, the place I saw it was pretty good. I mean, yeah, but seeing that Batman trailer, like
that was amazing.
Like that, it was just like, I mean, I was a little late getting in there because, I was watching the game and then paying for, when I was at Buffalo Wild Wings, like the next door, and then all of a sudden, like I walk in and I'm like, I want another beer, and I went over, and of course there was like 3 guys in front of me at the little bar in the movie theater, and then of course took forever, and it was just like, it was like one of those, because I'm one of those, I'm like, I like to see the previews, I like to see the freaking trailers, But of course, but as I was walking in, they played the Scream trailer, and then right after that, it was Spider-Man, and then Matrix, and then the Batman. And
now the 3 that they played before my showing of Dune. First off, the Eternals. Okay.
Oh yeah, Eternals also.
Yeah, but it's the first trailer. It's not the last one they released. It was the initial.
It's that full-on official trailer. Like it's like they don't. They just keep on showing that one. I never see any other ones in the theater.
And then also, and this is what I just said on my show earlier. I was like, seeing the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer in IMAX. It's not Daredevil, because you get to see when he comes. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never been a proponent of like it is him, but like
you see the head.
Seeing it.
Oh, you're talking about because
you get to see this much more of his head, and I'm like,
it's not Matt Murdock right there in that scene.
No, it's not. Yeah, but yeah, seeing the Matrix though.
Dude. You know what? I miss the online trailers are cool and everything, and it's cool to be online when they drop and start talking about them right away. I miss, and sometimes this still happens depending on the mix of general audience and when you see a movie. But being able to gauge people's reactions to a trailer in the theater when it's happening. And like the Batman trailer came up, and I was like, oh sweet, and it was awesome. And I kind of looked around to see if anybody was like, whoa, damn, that looks good. But I'm pretty sure everyone had already seen it, so they were like, yeah, that was cool. But
I was like, when it ended, I kind of was like, I kind of looked I was like, anybody, and nobody kind of went. You just heard a casual conversation. I mean, I think I might have heard
because back when trailers premiered on in movies, people hadn't seen it before, so you had a reaction, even if it was a hardcore fan who was aware of it. But B, a lot of people didn't even know these movies existed because the Batman trailer drops and it trends on Twitter, and people are like, "Oh, there's a Batman movie," even if they don't watch it. Whereas you used to get 10 years ago, this trailer might have dropped, and people would have been like, "Holy shit, there's a new Batman movie coming out!" I don't know. I just miss that energy a little bit. But regardless, just being back in now, this is the 3rd or 4th weekend in a row I've been to the movies now, which it's been even before COVID, it was years since I've gone to the movie that many weekends around. It's been pretty crowded, so it's a nice return to my people
reality.
My people, aka we all sit next to each other and don't talk to each other when it's over. But still, I mean that is my people. Right? Don't talk to me. Don't look at me.
Right.
Yes.
So Ken, what was your thoughts about? Well, what are your thoughts about the Batman overall? I guess you could say.
The trailer was action packed. There was a lot.
I was surprised by how much action there was. I was expecting it to be slower after the first trailer.
I think they showed a lot. They showed a lot of the action part. They showed a lot of the action part. Yeah, which is cool.
Do you think I mean, we're kind of assuming that I mean, obviously when it comes to the trailer, you want to show a lot of that, but I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of parts where it's a lot of detective work, a lot of, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be action 100% like that. I mean, that's I mean, it can't be, and which I'm totally fine with. I want to see the detective noir, version of this Batman. I want to hear the voiceover. I want to him just actually investigating stuff. It's every time he goes out, doesn't mean he has to kick someone's ass. He doesn't always have to do that. He can just go out and just investigate as well.
It has a very David Fincher feel. So
yeah, I know. That's exactly you get that tone right away. Especially
how atmospheric it is.
The what?
How atmospheric it is.
Oh yeah,
it's one of those. the way that we like talk about these movies, I've thought about a lot differently ever since Scorsese started saying his stuff, just because like it's I don't know, everyone has a different opinion on that, but I've always believed that he's trying to make a people want to, especially fans, want to leverage it as like a versus thing, when really I think he's just trying to describe the elements of a movie that really resonate with him most, and that's, to him, that is what quote unquote cinema is. And so you see stuff like that Batman trailer, or like watching Dune, and like the sound experience you get from that movie, and just how like oppressive, and like in a good way, it's like a blanket of sound. The entire, there's something bass and Zimmer is just like blowing my face off, and the what they do with dialogue and just like everything, it's just like an auditory experience without, you know, Greg Fraser's cinematography. And not every movie is supposed to be like that, but also and to me that's so definitive of like, you know, what it is. And despite my screen issues, I was like, you know what, I went home and checked it on HBO Max. I was like, I think this might be better screen quality than what I saw it on, but like there's no way to replicate that sound quality, which arguably is even more important with this movie. So that was one of the things about like the Batman, that, and seeing Dune and Batman most recently always brings me to like back to what Scorsese says. It's like, yeah, this is like a not a genre to itself, but a filmmaking quality that not every movie tries to or is capable of achieving. And I love that we've got so much of that out now and coming out.
Yeah, I mean, like, even going back to, I mean, when Hugh Jackman earlier this week, like, posted, you know, it's been 6 years since the Logan trailer came out, and it's just like, that movie fucking changed things too. I mean, I remember when that came out, and I was talking to a buddy about it, and I'm like, oh, there's going to be a shift change. I mean, sadly, it didn't really quite happen, because I was like, yeah, people are going to want more of this kind of stuff. They're going to want more of these CBMs, which I think we were wanting, but didn't exactly get. And then because I was mainly thinking like, this is something like Snyder would have done. You know, Snyder, I mean, he wants to make something like this when it comes to some of these characters. Like if he was going to take on Wolverine, he's like, it's got to be rated R. What are you talking about? We got to see him stab through someone's fucking chin into their mouth. You know, we got to see that. We have to see that. And you know, so when it just, even going back to that, it's just like, man, the fact that we can have the popcorn stuff, Marvel, what they're doing. Yeah, it's fun and it's cool. And but again, it always seems like, what's the next thing? That's what I hate, is like, what's the next thing? Like when I saw Venom, the theater lit up for the mid credit more than anything else in that movie. And I'm like,
which is cool. It's an exciting thing. It's just, like in turn, like I was saying with like the there's nothing special about like the cinematography or the score or anything going on there. Not that that's an essential thing for every single second of movie ever played, but it was just funny to see people freak out like that when like the visual auditory experience of like what had been happening, you know, 15 minutes earlier was far more like compelling.
Right?
Yeah,
you're absolutely correct. All right, we're gonna bring in one more person. We got Mr. Ray Flatcast. What's up,
what
sir?
up,
Ray?
Good evening, gentlemen.
How you doing?
I'm all right. I have not seen it yet.
I know. It's okay. You're not alone. Ken hasn't seen it either, so we're
I will be viewing it tomorrow. I will. I've been doing my catch up. So, I finally watched Sicario last week, and last night I watched Prisoners.
Oh man!
And
you say, everyone knows what you're talking about. When the way you say that is a very last night I watched Prisoners, and it's like you're not describing the movie you watched. You're describing the experience you had last night. We're like, I remember the night I watched Prison. Not I don't remember watching the movie. I remember the night I watched Prisoners.
Yeah, because I was reminded of the reason I wasn't inclined to watch the movie when it first came out, which is I have trouble with that subject matter. I do. I personally have a lot of issues. So it's like when that was all over the TV spots and the trailers, I'm like, okay, this cast is awesome, but I don't want to try it. And I didn't even know who Villeneuve was at the time. And so it became this thing where like later on, like after seeing Arrival and Blade Runner, it's like, okay, he did that too. And I was like, well, I guess I got to see it because everybody's talking about how great it is. And
one of
it
the
was-
things that you said when you said you saw Sicario, I mean, it was one of the things I kind of said in my first reaction is one of the things that he does very well is shoot stuff in the dark to make it look like it's not like you're kind of going like squinting, going, I don't know what the fuck's happening. Sicario was like a big example of that, where it's like when there was a lot of dark shots, he knew exactly what kind of color palette or what he needed to do with the cinematographer to achieve where you're not going. Because I remember watching certain movies and you're just like, what the fuck is happening? I don't even know. I saw that a little bit also, well, not a little bit, but anytime that there was like a scene where they're literally out where there would not be really much light in a desert planet, he really like captured where it's like, yeah, I know exactly what's happening. It still looks beautiful. And I'm like, God damn, he just really knows how to shoot in the dark.
Yeah. Well, that was a big. That's Wagner is like that also, with and that was a big. I remember that was a big after that Game of Thrones episode everyone was complaining about, and then the term dark cinematography. I think that's when it like people started using it a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating how it's like almost an entirely different school because like the lighting, like or at least my understanding is like the way that like the lighting and everything is set up is so different because you can't have harsher light if you're lighting a dark scene like that because then you have like it doesn't wash you, like you have to have a glow and you don't want to create shadows because creating shadows makes it look like it's more contrasty, whereas if there's just an absence of light there should also be kind of an absence of shadow. So to make it lit without shadow but also visible is like a weird combination of like sorcery that like who's the guy that did Solo? I think he's good at that also.
I'm not sure.
Man, I gotta look that. I'm gonna be mad when I see it too because I feel like I should know who it is.
Yeah, Bradford.
Is that okay? There you go.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
because he did Arrival.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's why.
Yes, I am mad. I should have known. Bradford Young.
Yeah. Because I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, that's one of the. I mean, what Denny does really well is like those establishing shots where he's just showing like the location with the score. I mean, especially with Arrival. I mean, Arrival. My God, when you watch like those
Arrival. Was amazing for that. Sicario was phenomenal for that. But yeah, you're right. Like with
Dune is also very, very phenomenal for that. When you're like, let's show the location, let's show these wide shots with the score, and then you got Hans Zimmer now doing the score, and it's like,
I'm not ready for that.
The sense of scale that he has is very appropriate for Dune. In a way that's like not just tonally, but like is kind of core to the world building in a way.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because like, not really a spoiler, but like in the opening sequence, you get stuff like where if you've read the book, you read the stuff and like, wow, that sounds massive, but like how, you've got stuff like the ramp on a ship comes down, and as it comes down, and you like start to see the people for contrast, you're like, oh, it's like watching Gareth Edwards, I think, also has a very similar sense of scale where you'll see something in a shot and you're like, oh wow, this is.
Oh yes, Rogue One.
Yeah,
the Death Star and the Star Destroyers in front of it. Yes, absolutely.
Greg Fraser again. So like there's this ramp coming down and from a ship, which we've seen in Star Wars and a million other things before. But as the ramp comes down, you're like, oh wait, that's not like the size of the Millennium Falcon. That's like the size of the Sears Tower. Or the Willis Tower is now, or whatever, as a skyscraper. And then you're like, those people are tiny, and that's like a massive ramp, and then you're like, is that carpeted? Like, do these fucking people have carpeted parking lot size ramps on there? Like, it's I don't know, it's that kind of like visual. There's so many things to look at to give you a sense of context for scale. That's really cool.
Right, and then Greg Fraser also doing the Batman, so it's like, Jesus Christ.
And with like, so it's, and that's the other thing, because we were talking about the because it was Deakins that was with him on Blade Runner, Sicario, and Prisoners.
Yeah,
like, so there's it. One of the things that I've noticed, because there's one more that I got to watch before I watch Dune, which is Enemy. I'll watch that tomorrow. It'll be a twofer because it'll be finally have seen.
I
that.
hope you're not arachnophobic.
I am, so it's probably
okay. So brace yourself.
Yeah.
It's not every scene, but there's a big
Okay,
spider that's
So no joke, like after I watched Prisoners late last night, right, and so Shonda left for work this morning, and for whatever reason, I don't know, I think she was like getting a coat or something because it's getting colder up here in the Midwest now, and like she had one of her plastic totes just sitting next to the bed, and I didn't know she had put it there, and so it was just there, and I was like, yeah, I totally opened it just to make certain there were no snakes in it. I did. I totally did that. Yep. So, but no, Enemy it'll be my first A24 movie because I still haven't seen any A24 movies.
Wow.
So that'd be like the first.
Your list.
A20. It is, dude. Seriously, it is
scroll, man.
It is. It absolutely is. But I'm gonna watch that and then watch Dune. But one of the things that I've noticed through Denis movies is like it's not just that he pairs himself with great DPs, it's also that the casting.
Yeah, yeah.
Like half the battle is in his cat. Like I didn't even, maybe I knew this, but like I'm watching Prisoners and I'm like, Viola Davis,
yeah,
Terrence Howard, like. I did it just. I'm like, okay, and I mean everybody is like, and Maria Bello and like Dismalchin and everybody, and they're all just acting their ass off.
Yeah,
I mean like the range of emotions, and it's the same in Blade Runner. It's the same in Sicario. Sicario is probably my favorite Benicio del Toro role. Period.
Oh yeah, he was
like that quickly. And I've seen him in I've seen him in The Way of the Gun. I've seen him in Fear and Loathing. I've seen him in Traffic. And no, his character in Sicario is by far my favorite. But yeah, that's like half the battle.
The dinner table scene in Sicario.
Oh my god!
Yes,
that's all you need to see.
And it was, dude. It was one of those cases where like going into the scene, I'm like, this could go a couple different ways.
Yeah.
And when he's like, finish your dinner, I was like,
ugh.
What? I was like, no. And then all of a sudden it was just pop, pop. I was like,
yeah.
And then and this is the other thing that Villeneuve does. He is not afraid to just be raw in front of you. Like as raw as possible. I mean, never mind all the bodies that were walled up in that house at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, Jesus Christ! The way that
never
thing
mind.
Opened. Oh my God!
Right. Never mind the bodies that were hanging from the overpass when they went into Juarez. He's gonna give you. It's like it literally was like because when you see him shoot, you just see him shoot, right? And then you hear thuds, and you're like, oh, we're not gonna see it. And he's like, no, you're gonna see it. Shot, dead wife, dead kids. What? This is just.
Oh, we lost Ken.
What happened?
I don't know. Oops. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened. We'll hopefully get him back, but
he doesn't like Sicario.
Yeah, he was like, "Nah, fuck the name." He's like, I don't care about I don't care for that guy. So we'll see if we'll get Ken back. We'll see. No, but when it comes to Dune, you're definitely in for a visual treat as you thought. I mean, I even like that the shot you posted that, Stephen, where like I mean, it was literally like just a shot of Timothy Chalamet's hand just in the sand, and it's just you see how the sausage was made when it comes to that, and it's just and then when you see the shot, I mean, it's like fucking 1.6 seconds when it happens, and but it's such a beautiful shot, and it tells you a lot because of what is happening with Paul during that time. Welcome back, sir. What happened, Ken?
No, I went ahead and registered an account, so I can chat with people here.
Oh, okay, cool. Go for it. Yeah, my chat's pretty good. They don't get too rowdy, They get rowdy with each other, but but they're cool with it with everybody. So
yeah. Stephen, you were talking earlier, like you were saying like not a spoiler. I'm in a weird place with this story in terms of like the words. It's like I've read the book.
Yeah,
And
that's
seen
what we
the
were kind of
Lynch
like.
film.
We were kind of like.
I'm not really. It's that weird place where it's like I'm not worried about details. I'm more gonna watch it to see how this version is told.
Yeah.
Right, like what does this version of the story look like? Because honestly, I'm going to be like, fair or not, I'm going to be comparing it to all the stuff from 1984 and be like, oh well, okay, they fixed this. This is better. That's here. You know, that type of. I mean, I already like I Harkonnen disgusted me in 84 as he was supposed to, and I'm like, well, let's see how much worse he is in this movie. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just one of those weird things. I mean, for people who haven't like read the book or like seen the Lynch film, it's like, okay, I get it. But for me, it's like, no, whatever. Talk about story. I you know.
Yeah, but then, Ken, have you read the book?
No, I've not.
Okay, so you're not really too familiar with the story too much, huh?
Okay.
Not in that story now.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like a lot of people probably haven't, and you know, when you watch, have you read the book, Anthony?
No.
Okay, see, so that's the same thing. Okay. I mean, and it's kind of funny too because when you watch it, I think, you know, Steven, we've talked about this a little bit too. Is like the fact is like when you've read the book, you kind of go, ooh, wait a minute. You know, sometimes that can be a little bit like, hey, well, wait a minute, wasn't this supposed to go? There's supposed to be this part right here. I mean, there was literally like a scene that I was actually waiting for that didn't happen, and I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah. You know, so it was a little disappointing, but that was pretty much only thing that was like disappointing was the things that were kind of left out and some of the fleshing out of certain things that were happening with certain characters that they couldn't exactly take the time to really work in there like you could in a book or a mini series.
Yeah, adaptation. It's funny because it started off for me, and I loved it in so many ways, but it reminds me a lot of the Lord of the Rings, where I was a huge Lord of the Rings fan before the movies, and then I watched the movies, and it was like so conflicting. So it's like these are amazing movies, but like there are things about the book that's not only just like missing, but like things that are different in ways that people who aren't familiar with the book don't seem to care about, but that that just seemed lesser or didn't do it in the way that I would have appreciated it. And over time I've gotten to like be able to separate the two of those more. And so I'm able to approach this a little bit kind of with that context. But yeah, there were definitely, for me it was weird because the book is so dense, there's always going to be stuff that's going to be left out.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there in the intro and I was like, "Oh wow. That's actually really smart the way that they're doing this because there's so much world building." And that first act gets a lot of that out of the way, but it's not in this like complex gibberish lore dump. It's in like smart, it's in the cinematography, you know, it's in the sound design, and it's in, you know, and it's in, you know, some dialogue and stuff that they added. But there was also stuff that was in that where I'm like, oh wow, they just communicated this whole, instead of leaving that to be explained later, they just explained it up front. But then there was also stuff where I was like, oh, that whole slow burn storyline, they, I guess, aren't doing now because they just explained it at the beginning of the book instead of 3/4 of the way through the book with a single line of dialogue. So like that's not a mystery. Like now we know that about this character up until that point, whereas in the book it would have been a reveal.
Yeah.
Which you know, for the movie I guess it's fine. For someone who knows that's happening, I'm like, well, that's quote unquote like spoiled, not spoiled like a movie spoiler, but like we are deprived of that twist or that reveal now because they just put it right out front in the movie. And so it's a weird, like, it's a phenomenal movie as an adaptation. It's smart in so many ways, but then there's areas where it's like, I'm not sure. I would have liked it more if they did it a different way, just because of the way that I like the parts of the story that I connect with. So like that's like some more like kind of story criticisms. But I mean, as far as cinematography and sound and even the story itself as presented, if you don't think about it as an adaptation, is like, you know, I thought was awesome. Yeah. And I think the first thing I tweeted was like, I actually wish I hadn't read the book before it came out because I think that reading the book after seeing the movie, those things are all still exciting and engaging. Whereas seeing the movie, having read the book, for me, it was just this list of like, oh, I guess we're not going to get that, as opposed to the reverse order would be like, oh, there's so much more in here to be experienced.
Right. Yeah.
I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the risk that you run when you watch an adaptation of something that you've read, especially if it's something that you've read many times. And I have not read Dune many times. I've only read it all the way through like once or twice, and it was years ago. But like, I went through, like, I was terrified. Like, I had this rule, like, when the Harry Potter movies were out, and I had friends that had like read all the books and loved all of it, and then they'd go in and they'd come out of like Goblet of Fire, be like, they screwed this up, they messed that up, and all this. And I was like, okay, well, my rule very simply at that point was, I will not read a single one of these books until I've seen all of the movies. I don't wish to judge any of these films based on like the original work. And then Watchmen comes out in 2009, and I'm stuck. I'm like, no, I've read this book like a dozen times. I'm screwed. There's no way. I can't avoid it. But I came out of that movie like, the one massive thing that they changed, I actually like.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, and it's funny
with no squid.
Well, and you were talking about, Dave, you were talking about how there was something that you were hoping to see in Dune that you didn't see. There was something I didn't think we were going to see in Watchmen that we ended up seeing, which was him going to Mars. I was completely convinced I was going to be cut out. I didn't think he was going to go to Mars at all. When he ends up there, I was like, oh my God, wow. Okay.
It's one of the best scenes too. I mean, that transition into all along the Watchtower. The second that song kicks in is like my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, and that was and that was the other thing, because knowing that that's the title of that particular book, like knowing that the whole I think that was the title, if I'm not mistaken. It was like issue 11 or 12. And so when the song hit, there was that little that my brain immediately made the connection. I was like, yes, perfect. Totally works. So that's one of those cases where like it really did work out, at least for me. I'm sure for somebody it didn't work out, but like for me, it totally worked out. And like, but it a lot of times you just run that risk. It's like, like, how are they going to adapt it?
Yeah, because like one of my favorite movies is Fight Club, and I saw the movie before I read the book. And when I read the book, I'm like, all right, obviously it fleshes out a lot more things, but it jumps a lot. And at that point I was like, yeah, I'm actually glad I saw the movie first before I saw this, because I feel like what they achieved when it came to the movie was like, they kind of went like, all right, we have this story, it's it's pretty interesting, it's an interesting story, let's make it like this, as opposed to how Chuck wrote it here, where it kind of just like bounces back and forth a lot of things. And when I was reading, I was like, oh yeah, I recognize this, but holy shit, they really take it into this direction or something like that. Or so I was actually happy at that. So I totally understand what you said, Steven. It's like, I'm reading it as I'm going. That's what's kind of cool with me, is like the fact that I'm like going along with it, where I'm like, all right, I'm actually where part one ends.
It's funny because you're at like halfway through the book, and my thought was, I think for you that's actually exciting to now read the second half, because I think you'll actually might like the second half more than you would have without the movie.
That's
if you had read if you because of the place that you're at, but also if people haven't read the book yet and are wondering if they should wait until after the hypothetical part 2 of the movie to read it. Who knows what's going to happen in part 2, but I actually feel like if you haven't read the book and you've seen part 1, I think you're actually in a great place to read the book, because the way they have it set up is very much like, okay, now that that's out of the way, here's all this stuff. And I think that you'll enjoy the book more and have all this extra stuff in there to appreciate, but also then you'll get to this halfway point, and then I think we'll see. I mean, for spoiler reasons, I think that the movie is going to be a lot more complimentary. The second movie is going to be a lot more complimentary to the book, because the first movie really is in service. Like the movie is the book is like in 2 stories. It's not like I don't know. There's kind of like a big A plot and a big B plot, and at the halfway point they kind of invert. So the A is now the focus and the B is in the focus. But the movie does that inversion from the beginning. and so the B plot of
interesting.
the first half of the book is the A plot of the movie. And so assuming they keep it the A plot of the second movie, it's going to be a really smooth transition.
Huh.
And I think
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
too.
No,
I know
I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about too. Having
Yeah.
not seen it, I'm like, oh, okay. So
So-
now going into it tomorrow, I'm going to be like, oh, because I wouldn't have been expecting it at that soon, right? You know what? In terms of like what I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah. It sounds like you probably caught on to that. And that's probably my not only, but like my biggest gripe that sums up all my thoughts about the way that they adapted it is because they inverted that plot. They ended up ending the movie at a place that I think would have been a logical kind of breaking point if the A plot of the book was the A plot of the movie. But because they end it there and that's not the focus of the movie, it feels like a little bit like a smaller climax than it would have been. Well, meanwhile in the book, if you just go a couple chapters more, there's another spot that would have been a way more thematically resonant and like WTF cliffhanger, like Matrix Reloaded style cliffhanger way to end this movie that I'm like, oh, I wonder why they didn't do that. It would have been longer, but I think they could have accommodated for it. Or you know what? I wouldn't mind if this was a 3-hour movie. It's that kind of scale that I think would make sense. So
Yep, I think I know what he means there
anyway,
too.
I'll try to stop talking about it being vague about the A plot and the B plot, and you subvert
The A plot,
the minor character arc.
Kind of like a math teacher right now. Jeez. Anyways, Anthony, you got to take off.
Yeah, man, gotta bounce.
All right, I appreciate you
All right,
stopping
dude.
by. All
Hey,
right. We'll see you. Make sure you're subscribed. ACS, Twitter, all that right there. I'm doing.
Yeah, I'll
it for
take
you.
it easy.
All right, man. See ya. Oh man, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, when it comes to when they take these books that have been around forever and now, and it's funny too because one of the things I mentioned in my review is like they are trying to market it as like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, like the next that, and I'm like, yeah, you could kind of hurt it a little bit like that because if people are going in thinking it's the next Star Wars, they might walk out going, that wasn't like fucking Star Wars.
I actually I think I've gotten to the point where I kind of hate that comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do studios do that? And why do they do that? Jesus Christ.
Well, you got to actually, and I'm convinced that the entire will there be a part 2? That's why I said hypothetically part 2. I'm like 99% sure a part 2 is coming at this point, and I'm pretty convinced that all the will there not be a part 2 drama was just gaslighting. If you're gonna
put that in the title, like the opening title, it literally goes Dune Part 1.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't put that in there if you were like, well, let's just see.
I think they very much allowed or encouraged that the will there be a part 2 hand wringing in order to be like, you better see this movie or we won't make another one. Like, well, when like they, you know,
well, and I think because I remember months ago, like, you know, we had the conversation in terms of like how, like, what would give this movie like the maximum amount of like success, you know, whether, you know, it was a theatrical release versus a streaming release. And I mean, if you look at what it's been doing internationally over the last month or so, it's actually gone further than I would have thought even before the pandemic hit.
I think in a way, and who knows? I mean, it's a good movie, and the marketing looks amazing, and so I don't know how accurate this is, but like looking at how Blade Runner did was kind of the biggest like, oh, what's going to happen here? In a weird way, it's possible the pandemic actually helped this movie in a way. It's almost like what Nolan was trying to do with Tenet, except at the right time, where people are so ready for that big thematic experience that Dune is like here. Like there's so many people, because there's been some big movies that are coming out, but I'm seeing so many people on the timeline saying, oh, my first time back in the theater after the pandemic. It's because this is like the like rebaptism or something into cinema. And so in a maybe probably would have done well even outside the pandemic, but I feel like the pandemic gave it an interesting boost kind of in that way of people who like wouldn't have been itching for that. Like, I've got to get out to theaters, and would have been maybe just like checked it out on HBO Max or whatever. If it weren't for that complication. I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting. And we're probably still going to get that even next year, too. Like when people go see the Batman, they're going to be like, hey, it's my first time back since. It's like, holy shit, really?
Well,
like,
they're going to use that as long as they possibly can. To
Yeah.
be like, don't you miss theaters? Not come back to theaters.
Oh, yeah.
Until like it's going to 2023, and we're like, man, I've been back in theaters since 2021. I don't gotta.
Nicole Kidman will do like the glamorous. I just feel like she it was like a glamorous Sarah McLachlan ad, except it's for theaters instead of dogs, right? Just like come back to the theater, right? And it says she's probably going to do like 5 more of those, like in the next.
I hate those commercials so much because it's like they want like they're trying to capture the most like worst conditions, and I'm just like, okay, put the camera down and help that dog. He's shivering. Put a blanket on him. I'm like, I hate that, but they're like, camera in the face, go.
Mm-hmm.
I hate those commercials, even like with the kids and stuff too. It's like the kid's crying. You have a camera in his face. What are you doing?
Because it's all marketing, that, and that's why they got this. That's why they put the music in there too. They want to tug at the heartstrings and get all that going, and it's but it's the same thing with this. It's like all the glamour and the glitz, and don't you love it? Don't you love the atmosphere and like all the
who we were like a bottle of wine in or whatever, and that ad came up, and it just like ruined the whole night because she was crying. Like,
it can ruin a night. It can ruin a night.
It was like the puppies, and it's like they made it to do that. Like that's not that the puppies aren't sad, but like they are trying to get that reaction out of you. Can't you like resist the manipulation?
Do it.
And to take her wallet away. No.
Yeah.
So you went that. Okay.
I'm in support of that. Just not drunk. Just not when you were
because
you were sad.
Yeah, not when you have.
No, you don't want to.
Next day.
Right. You wake up the next day. You've emptied your whole bank account on Sarah McLachlan.
Then all of a sudden you adopted like 7 puppies. Oh shit.
Right.
That's not good. What was the last movie you saw in the theaters, Ken?
Shoot. Let me think. I can't say.
Okay. Okay.
I love it. Right.
What was the last movie you can say you saw in theaters?
I don't even remember.
Damn.
Yeah, this was pre-COVID, so I don't remember.
I think the last thing I saw pre-COVID was The Way Back.
Same here.
Affleck.
Yep. The Way Back was the last pre-COVID thing I saw.
That was the last one I saw too. Before
because it was like 2 weeks before everything started shutting down.
Yeah,
it was like that.
And then I drove to San Diego to see Tenet. Jesus Christ, an hour and a half drive just to freaking go watch a movie in IMAX. It was great. I just told my brother, I was like, "Hey, you want to go see this movie? We're gonna have to drive to San Diego." What's that?
I think it was Tenet.
That was the last one you saw that you could talk about?
I think so. Yeah, but
oh man,
the most recent one I can't.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm kind of wondering, did it have to do with a certain figure that's on my chest right now? Did you see that movie? I'm kind of wondering. We're sitting here talking about the Batman, and Ken might already know what the fuck. He might already know what he's seen the movie. Where's he doing? Huh.
If it was, he can't say.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. That's the thing, and I'm like, that's why I'm just, I'm just taunting. I'm not trying to get anything out of you. How great was Robert Pattinson?
I do love your shirt, though.
Yeah, I mean
that symbol is awesome.
I know. I always love the Thomas Wayne, the Flashpoint Batman.
What? See, and that was the thing. I was going to be like, okay, which Batman movie from next year are you talking about that he might have seen?
Oh yeah, no,
because we're going to get to or okay. So like, all right, I get to ask this question because I think they're like I don't know. It wasn't an official account, but like. Where did Leslie Grace say that Batgirl definitively is coming out next year?
She didn't say it at DC Fandom. She did not.
No, she didn't say it at Fandom, but like apparently like people are running with this. Like it's going to be a 2022 movie. And I'm like, how?
I mean, I could see if they're starting to film very soon, and if it's not going to be like this big gargantuan movie, obviously I don't think it is. It's a Batgirl movie. It's going to be very small and contained. I could see it being out next November, or like, well, but then Flash is coming out next November.
Right.
I don't know.
And that right, and
Yeah.
so like that was
There's a conflict there. Yeah.
Well, because that's the conversation, right? Like the whole like which Batman is it, right? That whole conversation. And so like, go ahead.
Did you find something, Steven?
I did. Oh, so she doesn't. No, she does. Ellie, the Ellie magazine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or L, I don't know what.
Yeah. They did like a bunch of spreads last week. All was on one of them, and then like there was a couple of others for
where the quotation marks start and
yeah.
end.
I mean, I love the fact that she just gave more Joss Whedon stuff. Ken, have you heard anything about like working with Warner Brothers? Did you hear anything about Joss Whedon? I mean, I've always wondered that when people who work in the industry, it's like, it almost seems like people that have worked, they might have a Joss Whedon story or something like that. Did you ever hear anything about that guy?
No. Well, it's because I wasn't.
Yeah, you weren't. Yeah.
I wasn't in production at all, or anywhere near that. I was, oddly enough, in the finance department as an EA, but no,
nothing ever
true. I do remember when was that? When I went to a screening of Justice League. It was one of those screening where you don't know what you're gonna be watching.
Okay.
But as soon as Jeff Johns sat in front of me, I'm like, okay, I think I know what we're watching. And then when the lights went out, I saw Joss Whedon sat in front of me. I'm like, okay, I think I know exactly what we're going to be watching. So, but yeah, that's the only time I've encountered somewhat Joss Whedon.
Okay. Yeah, so you have a Joss Whedon. That's your Joss Whedon story. Kind of. Sort of. Okay.
But I did meet Jeff Johns a couple times in the lot, in doing employee functions and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
That was neat.
Cool. I just wanted to introduce myself. I went up to him, shook his hands, wanted to introduce, because I like his comic books. Just let him know I was a reader. That's about it, and just left.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I've always mentioned too. It's like, hey, I get it. Hear stuff about that guy now, but it's like, I have Flashpoint right there. I mean, I'm not gonna just be like, I'm gonna burn it. I'm not gonna set it on fire out in the parking lot because of things that happen.
Guys at Squadcast Media, they gave me the Aquaman omnibus for my birthday a couple years ago.
Yeah,
and I read that whole thing in one shot. It's a fantastic story. I totally see where the movie came from.
Yeah,
completely.
But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, it just seems like when it comes to live action, I'm going, all right, I don't know. I don't know. Like, he does very well. I mean, because I remember even watching the season premiere of Titans, and I went, oh my God, this dialogue. And then when it ended, it goes written by Jeff Johns and I don't know who else. And I went, oh. And I even made a joke about that in my review of it, because the dialogue is just so bad.
You can't always cross mediums, right?
Yeah.
You might be great. You can be great on the page. Doesn't mean you're great on the screen.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
I think
some things work better in comic books than on the screen.
And I think that's something about his TV writing that I think tends to be the thing that sticks out the most, because it all seems very like on a rail in a way that I think works more with comic panels, because you don't have to explain, because in comic panels you only show like the highlights, and so someone says A, then someone says B, and you don't you fill in the margins yourself. Like literally there's margins and you're like, oh, okay, so we got from here to here, And whereas if you watch like the TV writing, especially on something like Titans, what frustrates me is stuff just kind of happens in the same way. And you're like, but no, this is like, you can't just make that happen without like giving it some explanation or justification. And it feels very much like a comic book script is being used for TV. Which I thought I was going to say earlier is really fascinating. That because you brought up Fincher, I think Fincher's Fight Club is a great example of, and ironically because Polaniak's book also, they both very much have an understanding of the medium, where Polaniak's book is written in a way that doesn't work out. Like you can't adapt the book the way it's written.
No, you cannot.
But Fincher tells the same story in a way that I think is very true to the spirit of the book and shows a grasp of an understanding of the book, but in a way that only works in a movie. In the same way that you could put a few movies in that category. You got Fight Club. I think that there was one other one I think we were talking about that was but I was going to say that I think Dune is in that same category of, regardless of like my gripes with it, I think Villeneuve demonstrates a grasp of the medium that is fascinating, where he knows this is, he's not adapting a book to the screen. It's not like, oh, I'm translating it. It's literally it's a different language. It's not just a word for word. Like, if you take like one language and you run it like through Google Translate, it's different than if somebody reads it and then repeats it to you contextually in that language. Like Squid Game subtitles were a big point about that. I feel like it's kind of like a different experience if you're reading the literal translation versus the like adapted translation. Watchmen is like that too, where it's like the story is told in the way that suits the medium, as opposed to being concerned about and I don't want to say without being concerned about being true to the book, but it's I don't know. There are different tools, and they know how to use those tools: lighting, sound, camera angles, motion, acting, etc., to do things that you couldn't do in text, and vice versa.
Yeah, even going back to Dune, I was wondering how they were going to achieve. I mean, this is not even spoiler, but the voice. I was like, how is he going to represent that? And for you, Ray, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to the voice and the way that he does it. It's creepy and it's awesome the way that he does it. It was just. I was going like, okay, like how are they going to represent this part of this story when it comes to Paul and Jessica? And I went, all right, let's see how they do it. I mean, obviously, it's like their version of almost like a Jedi mind trick kind of thing. It very much is, but it's not just waving your hand. The way that they do it in the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, with sound and with it's obviously mainly with
kind
sound.
of a reimagining too, because if you do a literal like the way they do it in the book is super cool, because the concept is, if you truly know somebody or truly understand the core of their being, then you should be able to shape your tone and your volume and your inflection and your word choice into a combination that they cannot decline, because it is so true to the core of their being. Basically, it's not even like magic or anything. It's just them, and so what they need to hear in order to get a reaction out of them. And the move, obviously, like there's I think a literal translation of that would be probably silly in a movie, and so they go for something a little bit conceptual that I think it pays off in a big way. Like they show like more like what the person may be hearing, as opposed to what it actually looks like.
Yeah, to a slightly lesser extent, that's one of the things that I really am looking forward to experiencing is the technology itself.
Oh my god, the
right?
tech! Yeah.
Well, because that was one of the things, and I remember I was talking with Tim about this years ago, like because we were talking about like what you read in the book and like how things are described in the book, and then there's like the 1984 version of it, and the first thing that you think is, you did this too early.
Sting all freaking baby oiled up in a
well, and like when like the shielding, like the shields and like the combat and stuff like that, and it's like, no, this is too early. You're not. I will never forget. Like I forget, it was Raimi or somebody, whoever it was, that said like they didn't want to make a Spider-Man movie until they were able to actually do him properly visually. And so it was literally a case of, okay, can we do this? Can we make him look like this in live action? No, not in the 80s. No, not in the 90s. 2002? Okay, cool. We can do it. And it has gotten better since, like progressively in terms of how to make him look. But it's like with this, it's like, okay, you know, I saw the 84 version of it. All right. And I never saw the sci-fi. I never saw the sci-fi miniseries. I never saw that version, so I can't speak to that one.
Oh yeah,
but
it's forget about that. I always forget about that. Yeah.
But it's 2021 now, so I'm like, yeah, we've seen a lot. I trust that you can, but I'm still curious to see what it looks like and like how he does it, especially the way that I know he shoots these things. And it's like, and like you were saying with the voice, like the concept of it and how, and like just their idea, like the reimagining their idea, like, okay, we know what this looks like on the page. How are we going to make it translate to the screen? And that is probably one of the more things the bigger things that I'm keen on seeing when I watch it finally tomorrow is like how all of that looks and how all of it is adapted, and just gonna be like, oh, okay, that's how they, all right, so that's how they did. You know,
I mean, I will say when you're talking about the tech, I mean, it's pretty seamless. Like you almost just go like, oh man, did they actually build this stuff? I mean, what is actually, you know, CGI and what is not? I mean, it's pretty seamless. And
I'm not worried about you're not
going to be
at all. No.
Everything is just everything just. Yeah, nothing really just like stands out of like, oh, they're behind a green screen right there. Yeah. Oh, they're, you know, this is total. Well, I mean, everything is so.
Well, like what you were talking earlier about, you know, how he knows how to manipulate color and light. Yeah. Like that's totally half the battle with visual effects. Is once you know how to manipulate those key elements, those elemental things, you can your sandbox as far as visual effects is expanded massively.
And that's something that Zach does too, is, you know, I remember like very early on, I think it was Mr. Chris Dawson who mentioned it. It's the fact that, you know, sometimes when there's like a visual effects, something that's happening, explosions, whatever, lightning bolt, whatever. It's like sometimes, I guess, when they're actually filming it, they won't actually have that light effect and they'll have to create that in post. But Zach always is like, we have to have this light effect, like, you know, actually in the photography, so it actually makes a lot of things pop. So when you actually put that CGI in, it doesn't look super fake or whatever the hell, you know. And I think some movies suffer from that, is the fact that they do that. But you watch like behind the scenes of Zach stuff, even like when the flash like shows up, they literally have like flashing lights that just like indicate that he just showed up. So we got to get this light reflection off of the shot pretty much. And it makes it pop. It makes it look better. So, and I think Denny does that. A lot of filmmakers do that, but some of them, you know, in the Marvel universe. I'm sorry.
I think the auteurs do that, and that's what you know, like you bring up Fincher. But
I'm in that side now.
Yeah.
Look, I listen. Just for the sake of chaos, just to be an agent of chaos, I still want him to do the X-Men movie.
Well, you want Denny to do?
No, I want Zach to do the X-Men.
Zach to do it. Okay, yeah.
Like
I mean, that would be pretty sweet.
Just for the sake of chaos, because yes, it would be an amazing movie, but I just want to see Twitter blow up. I want to see it explode and set on fire.
Some people want to see the world burn.
Not to take credit away from like Zach or Denny or whoever, because I mean they're the director, and it's like ultimately it's their vision or their process. But with stuff like we're talking about, like lighting complementing visual effects, something that I think is really fascinating about that is a lot of it comes down to just planning. And like you talk to like visual effects people, and they'll say like, what's the most important thing in visual effects? And it's not VFX. It's shot composition, planning. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the VFX artists are like on the set, like pre-production. They're looking. Yes. They're at the locations. They're looking at everything.
Absolutely.
So it's not like Zach. I mean, he he knows a lot of these things and is good at it, but it's not that he looks at it and says, we need to have a light here and we need to have a light there. It's that he has it planned out enough ahead of time so that he sits down with his VFX supervisor, DJ,
which is
Dave
usually
Dargan,
guys he's worked
whoever.
with like crazy. Yeah.
And
DJ,
and
Brian.
and Damon Caro and whoever he's working with on set to make these things, and he says, okay, so we're gonna do this. There's gonna be a car flips there. There's an explosion there, and then they'll like haggle over it basically. Where DJ will be like, well, no, I know we can do a good job on that car, and then Damon will say like, well, you know what, we can flip that car practically on set. And like, okay, well, so let's do the car on set, and and they'll like negotiate out like who can do which side of things, and that way, because I've talked to another one of his VFX supervisors, Tim Rigby, concepted the whole Batman the chase scene. If you heard our interview with him on BVS by the minute, drink.
Cheers.
And he said that he's worked with other directors as like a stunt coordinator, where they'll just kind of give you a list and be like, here you go, that's that. Whereas Zach will work with you to like plan this whole thing out instead of just be like, oh, the stunt guy is going to figure it out. And you hear like the fix it in post joke. Whereas like the Batman v Superman crew shirts for the VFX team said fix it in pre.
That's right. Huh?
Where it's like, look, the VFX is so much easier so I think it's a matter of not just having a rapport with your team, but like relying on your team and working with your team. And that's what a good director, they call it a vision, but these guys all have a team of collaborators that they trust and let do these things and give them these responsibilities, not like delegate and just like shove it off onto them, but actually work with them to concept everything. And so that way you make sure you have the best of practical is happening and the best of VFX is happening, and it's marrying, instead of just sending the VFX team footage and being like, yeah, stick a dude in the background on that one and add some fire and we'll be good.
Because when I was in film school many years ago, fix it in post was like the thing to avoid. Like that's how we were taught. It was like, no, like we're not that never say that. Like we were told, like, don't say that. Like get it right, like on set, like when you actually
I would
shoot
hope
it. Like
ideally nobody would use that as a plan.
Yeah,
I just imagine things come up often enough on set where it's like, I guess we don't really have a choice now because
I kind of feel like, though, even if it's not said or diagrammed, I feel like there are a lot of movies that do use it as a plan.
Yeah, or well, you might see this as a I don't know, maybe you might see the value in this because you recognize the value of the production model. But like what I think is really cool about Marvel, regardless of what you think about the films, I think their process is fascinating, and the way who was it, the Doctor Strange writer Cargill, said that they get plate shots of every single scene, so that when they do reshoots, they've got exactly what they need. It's like they do like 2 takes of everything, like in front of the background and then like in front of a blue screen, and then they'll get like the scene itself, and that way they have all the puzzle pieces, so that like they kind of like, if you're gonna fix it in post, give yourself the tools you need to fix it in post. And Marvel has these puzzle pieces that they can assemble after the fact. And whether or not that's like, if you prefer the like Swiss watch of Zack Snyder planning out ahead of time, the fact of the matter is, when you run into a Justice League situation, it goes to shit because you just don't have what you need. Whereas Marvel is like, oh yeah, you know what? We got 2 versions of that scene in front of blue screen outside of, and we'll just mix and match, and they can create, Endgame, you see the shots and you're like, wait, Captain America wasn't even wearing a helmet there, and he's wearing a helmet and they CG on his helmet. It's like, yeah, they can do that because they, I guess, and you could call that fixing it in pre, because they shoot it in a way that allows them to make the changes they need to later on. And from a production line standpoint, that's like, a Ford level innovation, I think, in the way, and the same thing with the volume, and it's all that kind of stuff where if you use the tools correctly, you can do so much more. And so I think that's kind of 2 different, but the fact of the matter is, though, you can't get to post without having made those considerations and then pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Well, right. And I mean, when you decide on at whatever point that you're going to do, by the time this year is over, they'll have made 27 movies in 13 years. like when you've decided that that's your plan, you have necessity is the mother of invention. You can't, and that's the difference between like what they do and like what Zach does. Zach is like one movie at a time, right? And even if he had like, you know, a plan for what the movies are going to be, it was still going to be one movie at a time. There was never an assembly line idea where it was like, okay, and this many movies in this amount of time. Where in Marvel's case, it's like, okay, no, we need, if we're going to do 3 or 4 of these a year, we got to keep it rolling. We got to have
a funny way. They're both products of George Lucas, but in a split, they both took like a different characteristic of what Lucas did, because Lucas would get these things planned out in a way that would work a certain way, but then like on the prequels, he didn't just do reshoots, he had ongoing reshoots where he just never closed the studio down, and he would just have people come in and they just had like a wall of costumes and costumers and makeup and blue screens, and he would just be like, oh, I want to add an alien here and an alien, and like I know people like dog on the prequels, but the understanding of what truly happened there, to like, oh, you're mad that character looks too CGI, you missed the fact that like all this other stuff is going on in the scene that you didn't even notice, that's just like 100% digitally fabricated. Or like you'll see actors will be like, we didn't even shoot that scene, I don't know where he got that dialogue for me, I don't know, I never interacted with this person on set and we're having an emotional exchange here. And it's because honestly, I think it's because the whole Marshall Lucas saved Star Wars thing, I think burned George enough that he was like, I will never again enter post-production without every single angle of every single shot and ongoing reshoots to construct whatever I need to after the fact, to avoid her stealing my thunder again. But it's funny because that's like very much, I think, influenced like how Marvel now goes about things, whereas then Zack Snyder is very much the like 300 is the first major iteration on that, the blue screens and
so much
and partial set and all that stuff. So it's really cool to see how there's these little like, well, then even you're talking about like splintering off of like filmmaking schools, and then you even look at 300, and then you've got like all the John Wick and all those teams come out of the people that collaborated on that. And so it's so cool to see how you have all these different types of movie making and people making movies, and how they all thread back into like, you know, you can trace it back to George Lucas or whoever that like
300 in the Matrix for the John Wick guys, definitely.
Yeah,
like those.
Exactly.
Like
well,
that.
I guess 300 would be a product of the Matrix. The Matrix was first, but yeah, it's all like. Yeah,
right,
so cool.
But it's you know, but now we're at a point where they're directing, and it's they are, you know, they're at the forefront, you know. It's like if I still blow people's minds when I tell them, the dude that Harley broke his legs in the club, that's totally dude that John Wick like suffocated in the first movie, who was also an agent in The Matrix Reloaded. Oh, and he trained Bob Odenkirk for nobody.
Yeah.
Daniel Bernhardt. And they're like, what? Okay. I was like, yeah.
He's been in a lot of stuff. I always like, you always see him like, oh yeah, that guy.
He is.
That guy. Always that guy.
Yeah.
I always say like, he's like one of those that guys. Like, I know that guy. Can't remember his name right now, but I know that guy. He was in this, and this. And sure enough, yeah. He's been all over. Yeah. By the way, Nobody. Did you guys all see that?
Still haven't seen it.
Ken, did you see it? You saw it? No?
No.
Oh, man. You guys got to watch that. So great.
No, why? I just saw.
Put it on your list.
Are they? I think Hemsworth is training now for the extraction sequel.
What's up with that? Okay, so he's training to be what, bigger than he was in Thor? Like, dude, we saw the image of him in Thor, and he was gargantuan. Like,
well, you saw the first Extraction, right?
It's not his size. I mean, Extraction, he's really not wiry because he's still bulked up, but I mean, he's way like Thor is like pure bulk, whereas Extraction is very much more like of a practical.
Yeah.
It's like
he's got to move. He's got to move fast.
Yeah,
he's got to move faster.
So fast if you can't even fucking like, it's like, come on, dude. I mean, like we saw that Thor shot where he was literally just like, and it was like, all right, but then there was like people saying that he was going to be bigger than I'm like, he's bulking up. I'm like, I don't think he's bulking up. He was actually using like cables, and I'm like going, I think he's leaning out, to be honest.
Probably.
He's not bulking up, he's leaning out,
because
you can't be that kind of soldier and be all,
he wasn't that size in the first one.
No,
like he was not Thor size,
and it's supposed to be a continuation, right? Yeah. I don't know,
but
I think people said that stuff takes off from like he'll post a photo and they'll be like, oh wow, he's gonna be even bigger, and it's like just because he's working out doesn't mean he's gonna be bigger.
No.
he's
gonna be leaner. He's going for lean because he wasn't lifting like full on free weights. He was doing cables, and I'm like, that's what you do when you're leaning out. Yeah. I'm like, when I saw that, I was like, why are people saying that? I mean, he was probably at his peak of how huge he can get. He's going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah. There's no way that's like you can't just bring that into into this series right here. I'm like, nah, he's totally leaning out.
I did like the male like self-pitying thing one day, and I went on YouTube and I went down the rabbit hole of like training videos for actors, and like I watched Cavill's video, which was a mistake. I watched Chris Pratt's video, double mistake.
Chris Pratt though, he was like a big old fat kid, you know. I mean, he was a chubby dude at one point, you know.
I will look at him in part.
I mean, if you've got that much bulk on you that's not muscle, and then you're paid millions of dollars to turn that into muscle, that's like easier than if you're like a scrawny guy.
It is
like he was like perfectly primed to do that, where he had the bulk to
he had the shoulders, he had the face.
He got hired for a movie.
It's still crazy just seeing like Parks and Rec Chris Pratt compared to Star-Lord Chris Pratt and realizing there's only a couple years in between that. That's just not fair.
Well, then didn't they explain that in Parks and Rec? Like he was just like, oh yeah, I started lifting, and like that was like,
all right,
that was part of the story, right?
Right, yeah. And then flipping Momoa, it's like he still drinks beer and climbs trees. I'm like, shut up.
But you know what's funny about that behind the scenes featurette that they showed with Aquaman? And it's like, there's like a shot where he was like watching like the screen and he was shirtless, and it wasn't like he was like, you know, maybe because he just wasn't flexing, and maybe he just had a Guinness at that point, and he was just
and also he hadn't been dehydrated for a week, and
there it is
immediately before
exactly.
You get dehydrated, you get oiled up, and you pump right before the scene, and you have the right lighting. Man, you're gonna look way bigger than you are.
Exactly. But when he's watching the screens, he just looks like Momoa when they talk. Remember when we saw him on the beach and they're like, "Look at Momoa and his dad body." Fuck you.
Right. I was totally like with the day that happened. I tweeted. I was like, can I have that dad bod?
Yeah,
I'll take that dad bod right now.
But I mean, like, you get in this shape, but anytime you're gonna have your glamour shot, we've talked about this, is like what Hugh Jackman did. It's like, dehydrate. You have that day where you're gonna be shirtless, and it's like, you're gonna get to that point. I mean, we've even seen shots of Momoa when he's like full on shirtless posing, and it's just like, holy shit, look at how lean and just like his abs are just. He's got a 14 pack going on, you know, And even like going back to Fight Club, when Pitt, everybody talks about what he literally has abs going up to his
in the
chin.
gym that time, and they say like everybody would cut, like they got a bunch of people coming in and sign up to the gym, and they would all say, "I want to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club."
It's like you can't. That's genetics.
No, you can't.
That is like Brad Pitt has always had those genetics. First off, it's like he got super ripped, but he was like, his workout process wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna lift a bunch of weights and whatever. Like he like literally that scene when any scene that you see like Pitt like with his shirt off, he's probably not had a lot of water to drink on those scenes.
Well, it's like the difference. It's like when you like what Affleck say he ate like copious amounts of orange roughy, which I didn't know that was like a heavy protein fish. But he was talking about like all the orange roughy that he had to eat constantly on a regular basis. That was his bulking process for Batman. And then you rewind, go back to them talking to Cavill about his process for bulking on Superman. And I think one interview, he was on the Tonight Show and he literally said it was a lot of cheeseburgers.
Yeah,
he ate a lot
and
of
pizza.
cheeseburgers. So it's like
Well,
there's
and
a workout
not-
process where they where you're supposed to eat as much as you can to get the size, and then you start cutting. I guess you could
Right.
say. That's
not
what
that I'm
happened with
calling
Bale
BS
when
on
he got.
anybody, like particularly them specifically, but also like sometimes it's not cheeseburger. I mean, in Cavill's case, like I think Cavill's legit, and he didn't do steroids or anything. But there's a lot of people who will. I'm not even saying steroids in general.
Human growth hormone. Come on,
But
Ken, you know this. You work in the biz. Some of these guys, they're just taking some.
Also, new Cavill was like famous for refusing it though. But
okay.
But there's a lot of and I don't think it's just like even like Jennifer Lawrence. I don't believe the like. Oh, I love French fries, whatever. It's like, well, I'm sure you do, but like you're making it your personality in a video. It feels like you just know that like that makes for a good interview.
Yeah.
Like I doubt Cavill has like a full diet of cheeseburgers, but like that's a lot more interesting than like, well, a lot of boiled chicken and.
Well,
salads,
look at
raw eggs.
Look at Dwayne Johnson. I mean, I love the fact that he always documents like a lot of things, and he mainly documents his cheat days, which is like 27 pancakes and 13
and a
chocolate
stack
cookies.
of pizzas.
Yes, and he's just like, oh yeah, it's cheat day. I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna wash this down with my tequila, which I'm like, all right, are you really doing that? I mean, I know you're promoting your tequila, I get it, but it's just like he always likes to document those.
He
cheat
even
days,
promoted it
like,
in that rap song that he did. He's like Terramana.
Oh man, yeah.
Wow.
Hey, I like Dwayne Johnson, but that rap
very
song.
Listen, he's what
he could do whatever he wants to do.
I just still
doesn't mean we have to like it.
but that's now he's the kind of like there's a limit to like when you're doing like the male self-pity stuff. There's even a limit, right? Like, because you'll look at Pratt like, damn it, and then you'll look at like Momoa and Cavill. There's still be a little party that's like, damn it. When you look at The Rock, it's like, fuck it, no, there's no way, no, I'm not even. Oh, yeah, you're not even thinking.
I feel shame over like looking at Chris Pratt because you're like that dude was literally living in a van eating like other people's leftover McDonald's at one point in his life, and so if he did that, I could probably. If I really applied myself, maybe I could get there. Whereas with The Rock, you're just like, oh no, you're not human. Why would I feel embarrassed for not looking like you? Like, I've got all the excuses in the world. Chris Pratt, I got no excuses. The Rock, every excuse.
When the official, because there hasn't been one yet. When the official Black Adam costume pick is out, not one person will even think of using the word padding.
No.
To describe the picture.
We already kind of got a sense of that.
Well, and that argument is always a little bit funny too, because like there will be padding in it.
Yeah,
I mean,
like not
but
not thick. But like, those are all chiseled and contoured and like no, like for The Rock, maybe it's not as necessary it is for everybody else. But like there's always
it's a skin tight costume.
Well, I mean, like even with Cavill's costume, there was like it wasn't like so much where it was like. I mean, I think the biggest example was probably Zachary Levi in the first Shazam costume. That was there was but at the same time they needed to really represent it. Like, oh, look at how big he is. And,
I don't think that's
now with Shazam 2, with what we've seen. I'm like they reduced that and they went, all right, now we're getting legit. We don't have to have this.
But even in his case though, like he was bulked. Like I don't think he didn't need padding because he didn't have muscle. It's just that like especially like in a red suit, you're not gonna see that contrast
but they wanted
unless
to
you do something to the suit.
Because that's who that character is. It's like, hey, look at me. Now I'm just
he does look big. He does look bigger now. Like inches, like in Fury of the Gods, like what we've seen of it. And it's not just because it's also like he's bigger, but also the way that they've changed the costume. Like that material is not as thick as it was in the first movie for any of them. Like they've all of their costumes are like.
I mean, he literally has a pose where he's like doing this. If you took, they were really emphasizing that.
If you took that green, what's like the green screen suit from It's Always Sunny. And like you put it on The Rock, he would just look like a bigger version of like that suit is not going to be flattering on like anybody. Like you're not even going to see his muscles on that suit because it's not going to cling to the contours. It's just going to like I mean to an extent it will. Like I'm not saying like he's going to look like me. Like you're not me and The Rock. Which one's in the suit? But you need to you're going to draw the muscles on it, or you're going to have padding on it, not because the muscle needs to pop, but because it needs to like retain a shape. And so it's always
Right.
like it's theatrics. Like you have to. It's such
well,
a
if you look
weird.
at the source
I don't know.
material, it's like everything's drawn as like super, just everything, every little ripple, everybody's just cut and zero body fat kind of thing. It's like, and like, you know, supposedly in the comic books, you know, they're just wearing like a thin layer of like, you know, fabric that is supposed to be wrapping around. So it's like, how do you translate that into the movies? And I think, you know, I remember what The Rock also did too, is like we saw that shot of him shirtless, but he had a bunch of mocap all over him.
Yes.
It's like he's trying to, I mean, I totally respect it. He's trying to like take it to the next level. Where it's like, well, hey, how about we take this to where the point where it's like I'm doing something where it's like I'm just totally that superhero body. I mean, I think Hugh Jackman did probably the best when it came to, I mean, you watch that scene in Days of Future Past when he gets out of bed, it's like that's like the most ripped he was like ever like he ever accomplished.
Don't
you look
watch
at
his
that and then
videos
you look at X-Men 1, you go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it wasn't even like he looked bad in the first movie, but like
No,
compare that to like what you're saying, Days of Future Past or the Wolverine, which was like I think the year before that, and it's like, yeah, you got cut, like you chiseled for sure.
No, but I just wonder what The Rock was when he showed that image of all the mocap on his body. I'm like, oh man, they're gonna take it to like a little bit of a different level. I kind of wonder what the context of that. So, Ken, did you see the Black Adam clip that he posted? Yeah, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think it looks awesome though.
Yeah.
It didn't. Yeah, as you guys were saying, it didn't have that much padding. I don't think.
No.
Like we're used to seeing, you know, especially with Shazam and Zachary Levi. But yeah.
Everybody, I think the biggest thing everybody freaks out about with that clip is him catching the bullet.
Yeah.
Like and that and also like how the scene was shot. Because that's the other, you know, there's still this perception, this idea that like DC movies are going to be quote unquote Marvelized going forward.
That was not Marvelized.
Not even close.
No, that was very dark. I mean, he literally fried a guy and then broke his neck off or his skull.
That was.
It was just like ha ha ha. That's exactly. I mean, when it came to that clip, that got me more hyped for Black Adam. Ken, did you see the Flash sneak peek?
I didn't see, but I did see some of it on Twitter. I think I saw your post about the where he was in the cave.
Yeah.
With the waterfall and how it looks weird as hell. Or it doesn't match up with the other scene with his costume.
Yeah. See, that was one of the things. Yeah, that was one of the things that, like, when you see him looking, he's walking through somewhere and he's looking. The suit and the cow looks off.
Well,
but then when you see that shot of him, like in, you know, with the waterfall in the cave, I'm like, that looks good right there to me. The cow looks fine, and the way that everything is with, I was like, I actually dig that shot, but the prior shot didn't look that great.
I think there are more versions of, because I'll say I agree that the suit is wonky. I really had a weird reaction to that footage, but I think there are more versions of Barry and more versions of the suit at play than people have realized from that footage. Like the version with the weird helmet, for example. If you look at like the emblem, it's a different emblem than the one that he's like. I don't think it has the white background, maybe, or I can't recall off the top of my head. But there's a difference between that and the one where he's standing there with the other Barry in the spray painted suit and Supergirl. It's a similar, but like looks a little bit different. And also, I'm like the shot in the cave. I'm like 90% sure that's probably not even a shot in the actual movie.
Could be just to display the suit.
I think it was literally just a suit a suit reveal.
And it looked fine to me. Like to me, like being a big Flash fan, I was like, that looks pretty good.
In the movie, for some reason, he walks up to the edge of the water and looks out like that for no,
and then flexes.
for no reason.
Well, and that was the other, like, that was one of the things, because of course, like the clip comes out, right, and because it's officially released, it's a part of Fandom. It's like, okay, now everyone can do the screenshots and analyze it and talk about how the one from Zack Snyder's Justice League is so much better and all this. And I'm like, guys, we are still over a year away from seeing any of this in context.
True.
There's a decent chance. There's a decent chance that none of what we saw in that clip is going to be in the movie. There's a decent chance of it.
We talked about it too. Is like some of the shots. I thought when they approach Wayne Manor or whatever, I thought that was cool. But then when it gets to like Barry showing up at his home, and then I was like, whoa! It just went from pretty cool to like very much CW when it came to the way the shots looked, and I was like interesting. But again, this is just something they put together. They still
at that point. I don't like they haven't wrapped yet. Like they just like the movie just wrapped filming, so it's like okay. And that was the other thing I was telling people, because a lot of people complaining about the structure of Fandom, and they were also complaining about, you brought up the CW, the before all of the other stuff came out, they dropped the first trailer for Armageddon, which is the 5-episode crossover event for the Flash in November.
Yeah,
and so this is like what, Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever that drops, and so a bunch of people were like, well, why wasn't that ready for Fandom? Why didn't you put that in Fandom? And I'm like,
recorded way before that.
Right? So, and you have to take that into account with the Flash as well. It's like how long ago did they put that together? Like in the middle,
and then we got to remember the leak too.
Right.
Well, yeah, I actually think that I have suspicions that they re-edited or reconcepted most of the program. Maybe not the last minute, but later on. I think they had a plan of doing it one way. Because you look at, like, there's a lot fewer panels and a lot, like, it... Or I'll say specifically, my theory is that it the way they did it reminds me a lot of Netflix's Tadum event.
A little bit.
I totally missed that. I didn't see any of that.
And
it was very much the same.
And if you look at, like, the leaked Flash stuff, that was way more, like, of last year's Fandom, where it was like, here's the actors talking about the movie, and here's an interview with the director and whatever. And they did way less of that. They did way less of that in this version, assuming there's different versions. And there's stuff that was recent enough to have been made recently. And so it's like, what was that Flash leak made for, and et cetera. And so it makes a lot of sense to me if they were going to do it like last year, and they were like, you know what, people aren't looking for actual panels. They're looking, and especially if you're going to do, once you decide to put it into a 4-hour-long stream, you can't treat each thing like an individual panel because it's going to be too long. And so you need that snap. You need footage. You need a quick take from the cast and crew, but not too long. You can't like sit down for an interview or a panel with them. You just need like, I'm Ezra Miller. Here's something funny. Here's some footage, and then like on to the next one. And I don't know if I'm not saying that they changed the plans entirely and copied Fandom, although that would be an ironic, consistent with the way that DC does things. It feels very much like someone at one point said, like, you know what, we're going to get way more engagement if we clump this all together. I wasn't a fan of like they say it was a success. I wasn't a fan of the format this year versus the Fandom last year. But
yeah, last year there was a lot more interactiveness.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that a decent part of that, a decent part of the difference between, for people between last year and this year was obviously, no Zack Snyder's Justice League, and, well, okay, what is that? What is that?
Check out Zach Severo.
Uh-oh.
Well, what happened?
We've said that, right? I mean, nothing big. It's just something cool.
Oh.
People posting it? Because I can throw it up right here.
It's on... I can throw the link in the chat.
Yeah, throw a link. Show what he posts. It's in, if it's.
Or I mean, I guess I could take the screen if you want.
Yeah, send a screen.
It's vinyl.
I just saw something.
Yeah, it's the Justice League vinyl.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh,
But I mean, it's
Oh, that's nice.
oh, he posted. Oh, okay, there you go.
So that's. I don't know if I gotta pre-order that now. Whoops.
Hey, there's Mr. Mighty. What's
Yeah,
his name?
look at that. That is the vinyl. Damn, that is hot.
Sexy.
Very nice.
The I
gotta get.
Army of
I
the
gotta
Dead
get a
one. The Army of
record
the Dead
player.
art
Man.
is awesome.
Yeah, I gotta get a
Yeah,
record
yeah.
player. Yeah, I've been wanting to get a record player for a bit.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things where it's like, I got to do that one of these days because.
I had one. I had
See
one
it.
way back in the day.
Do you have a record player, Ken? You seem like you might with your guitars behind you.
I have one, but it's a crappy one.
Ah,
It's, but that's actually my daughter's guitar right there.
oh, is it? Oh, she plays. That's cool. How old
Yeah.
is she?
That's my she's 17, and that's
Okay.
my acoustic guitar right here. Yeah. So I
Nice.
taught her to play, and then now she's on her own. So
Sweet. Is she playing in any bands or anything like that?
no, she's just on
Plays.
her own. Yeah.
Cool. Nothing wrong with that. I wish I mean, I have a guitar like right over there, but I mean, I learned little things, it's like whatever, but man, I wish I would have like really when I was a kid just like dove into that. I mean, I know how to play drums. I learned that. I learned that coordination. It's like, all right, yeah, I know how to do that, but guitar is like a whole different thing. And then when I see people, I'm like, when I see lead singers playing guitar while they're singing, I'm like, how the fuck do you do that? But see, it's funny too, because I have a buddy of mine who plays guitar very well. And then he'll be like, well, how do you play drums? And then he'll be like, how could you play drums and sing? And I go, well, I could probably do that. And I'm like, I have done that. I could keep a beat and just like, I could probably do that like a fucking Phil Collins or whatever the hell. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's just the way that, you program your brain, because he's looking at me going like, how do you keep like, first off, how do you do like different, with your legs and your fucking, your hands, how do you do that in the first place? So I'm like, well, how do you doing that with your fingers? I'm looking at him going, I don't know what you're doing right there. And it's just, I guess it's just the way, you just feel it. You just feel it,
Yeah.
And it's just something you tap into your brain, and that's just what happens. Does anybody else play an instrument here? Ray?
No, I wish. Well, my dad is a self-taught bass player, but
nice.
I'm a music. I love music,
Yeah.
but no, I
Never got
wish.
into it, huh?
I wish that I would love to. I would love to like learn how to play piano, because my favorite. I mean, piano in general, yes, but my favorite instrument, like on the planet, is a Fender Rhodes piano.
Yeah,
I love the Fender Rhodes piano.
And what's crazy about, like, I mean, if you know how to play piano, that could really help you to play bass, and you're one of the finger pickers.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite bands, Metallica, their first bass player, Cliff Burton, was a piano player, and I tell everybody, watch his bass solos. It's insane. May he rest in peace. Sadly, he died very early on. But if you watch that guy and you watch how he just picks at the bass, you just go like, oh yeah, he had piano training. And then I look it up, and it's like, yeah, he was, as a kid, he learned piano. And it's like, yeah, you don't know how. I mean, I probably Flea is like that.
I was gonna say Flea.
Yeah.
Flea plays that way too.
Yeah, and it's just like. Yeah, it's a whole different kind of level of bass, in my opinion, than just picking it. It's like finger picking is just it's a whole art.
I grew up on a ton of jazz. Jazz is like my number one favorite like genre, period. But there's so many different like subgenres within that, whether it's like bebop or straight ahead or like contemporary and acid jazz, and then there's like the fusion stuff from the 70s that like Miles Davis started, and that's the jazz that has like a heavy rock influence, right? And so like one of the biggest, like, have you heard of Jaco Pastorius?
Sounds familiar.
You heard that name? Yeah, he was a bassist for Weather Report. Also went way too early in life. may he rest in peace. But like, he was like a prodigy. But the thing is, like, his sound, the sound that he made with the bass is like, I've never heard anybody replicate it nearly as close as he did it. And it's just such a really unique tone that he did with how he picked it. And it was like, it's gorgeous. It's 70s. It's 70s. Okay. Like, that was the fusion era of jazz. Right. But if you listen to like Weather Report or Return to Forever or like Mahavishnu Orchestra, there's something in there you'll like. Maybe you won't like the horns. Maybe you won't like the maybe some of the drums. You might, you know what? The drummer for Weather Report, Alex Acuna, actually did percussion with Michael Giacchino on Spider-Man: Homecoming. He did. And like, so there's, but it's good. It's good. But that's like the kind of, I guess now, probably my favorite bass guitarist right now. No, actually not probably. Definitively my favorite bass guitarist right now, Thundercat.
Who's Thundercat?
Thundercat? Oh, look him up.
Yeah.
Google him right now. Thundercat's amazing.
Thundercat
is amazing.
I took enough years of lessons in piano, violin, and guitar to be extremely frustrated at my inability to play anything at all.
I mean, this is what I'm talking about here with Cliff Burton, where he's flat out just fingering his damn thing.
Yeah.
And he's making it synthesized.
Mm-hmm.
And he's headbanging the whole time.
Right. Like,
he's not even looking down. He's just feeling it. The guy's possessed.
No, that's the thing is like, you know, that's me. I'm like, okay, we're E, A, C, like, where's, you know, like,
yeah.
A bunch of my friends in high school all were like phenomenal guitarists and in bands and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I always had a ton of Joe Satriani and Yngwie Malmsteen, how do you say his name? And Steve Vai and like all those guys. It's always crazy looking because it's always stuff that you don't hear much because it's almost like if you don't appreciate the skill, the music is almost not as entertaining to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Like people who like have never played guitar or aren't like particularly interested in like guitarists or guitar solos wouldn't necessarily be like, oh yeah, I'm really bopping my head to this Steve Vai. But like anybody who's ever touched a guitar is like, what is he doing to that instrument? Like it's fascinating.
Yeah, well, I mean, like even like Slash I think even Slash has even said like when it comes to like him just doing, it's like he's admitted he's like, I just feel like I'm possessed. You just feel possessed and you're just doing it. I think even Kirk Hammett's even said that too. Or it's just when they're doing like these solos, their body just knows, and it's just you just see them doing that, and you're like, I don't even know what the hell. And then even the same thing with like certain drummers. I mean, you look at your Neil Peart, your Danny Carey from Tool, and you're just seeing some of these drummers, and you just kind of go like, I mean, I'm a drummer, and I'm like, I can't do that.
But imagine having played. You talk about like, and I don't know how many hours these guys have, but like the 10,000 hours or whatever to become a master at something. Imagine, and especially like with something like drumming that's just rhythm or guitar solos, which 90% of it is just a. I'm gonna get it wrong. What is it? It's just a minor scale, the blues scale. It's just iterating on it. So imagine having spent like 10,000 hours, not just like playing in general, but playing this very specific set of rhythms or this really specific set of a scale to the point where like you can emote with it. You're not thinking about the music you're playing. You just have a feeling, and in the same way that you would use words to express it, you have done it enough that it's reflexive, and it feels so. That's why it's frustrating for me. Like, I've got that feel. Oh yeah, you feel possessed. I feel possessed. Then I pick it up and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I can't express myself with this instrument.
Well,
So
I think it's kind of with everything. I mean, like there's times where like I'll start going off on Film Junkie Live, and I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. What the fuck did I just say? I don't know. It's just you just get that feeling, and I think we just all kind of experience it in like different ways. Steven, you probably felt it too, when you're like you get on a topic and you just talk about it.
Oh, I've definitely done that on the show before, where I'm like,
I'm
talking
probably
and I'll
a few
stop
hundred
and I'll be
times.
like, when was the last time anybody else talked? Like, have we been here
No,
all
but
week?
see-
What's going on?
But see, that's what possesses us. We start getting into that vibe where we're just blah, 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 when we just start going. Ray, you probably do that too. You've done that too. Where like on your show, where you're just like you get in that groove and you feel that. I know, like I've had Film Junkie Lives where I go, that wasn't that great. I don't know. I was like kind of whatever. But then I'll have, mainly I'll have Film Junkie Lives where I'm like, man, you know what? I was like just going.
Well, I always get worried that like I've gone down too many tangents.
Yeah.
Have you ever
It's
had
like,
an out of body experience while you're talking?
Oh yeah.
I used to, it's surprised anybody who doesn't know. I did competitive speaking in high school and college, and I did like there's limited prep stuff that is a lot of what I did, but then there's also stuff that was rehearsed that it was like heavily rehearsed to the point where like it was a struggle to keep focused on it as I was performing, and I distinctly have memories of like being in a room doing a performance, whatever, and then I'm thinking about something else, and then all of a sudden my brain like snaps back, and I'm like, I don't know where I am. Like, I mean, I know where I am, like in the room, but like I have no idea where I am in the script because I've just been like, have I even been on the script? I've been moving and talking and I just have to, and I just like flip a coin, and I'm like, pick up here and go, and I'm like, I hope.
I multiple times in recording an episode of my show, that's happened, and I'm like, I have to stop the recording and rewind and go back to where I was to remember what I was talking about.
Yep.
It's like, I don't
before
know.
I launched into whatever.
Try doing that live, Ray.
Talking about something.
No, I
but, like,
can't do that.
No, I've done that live where I've gone off on something. I'm like, what was I fucking talking about?
I would have to say that. I would have to be like, okay, bear with me. What was I saying? Or I'd probably be asking something in the chat. Hey, what was I talking about? Let me know.
There's been times where I've done that. Trust me. And thank you for sending that clip. Yeah, I have seen Thundercat. Okay, when I saw, it was like when I pulled up the video right here, it was like, oh, okay, I've seen this guy.
Well, because he's been he does incredible solo stuff, but he's like worked with other like artists, and like the bass he plays is like, I don't even know, like,
for anybody wondering, that's the guy right there. Yeah,
it's so like that.
Look at those. So, look at that finger picker too. Also, man,
I would like to see the calluses on those.
Look at that.
He's insane. He's utterly insane, and he's singing too. He's singing in the middle.
Like, how do you do that? How do you do that? You're possessed. You're possessed.
No,
is that a 1, 2? I can't count.
It's 5.
It's a 5-string bass.
It's a 5-string bass, right?
Yeah. He's insane. I've seen him play the double neck ones too, and it's like, I don't even know how. Like, my mom introduced me to him. He was on Fallon way back, late night with Jimmy Fallon, because she's my mom loves Jimmy Fallon, and like before the Tonight Show, any of that, she watched him for years, and so she literally texted me at like 1:30 in the morning. Ray, have you ever heard of this dude Thundercat? Check him out. And I was like, man, and I've just been a fan of his since.
Yeah, I've seen him press. Yeah, there's some people that just, man, I don't know. I remember a long time ago, a guitarist named Andy McKee. I don't know if you guys saw that guy. I don't know if he's where he is now. I don't know if that sounds familiar. He used to play. I mean, this guy would keep a beat on his acoustic guitar while he's playing. It's insane. Like, I can't even explain it. Like, as I'm explaining it right now, you guys are probably like, what? He does what? Like, yeah, he literally keeps a beat on his guitar as he's playing. I don't know how he did it, but it's like, it was the most magnificent thing I've ever seen.
I was going to say this a second ago. It's like, best I can give you is medium on Guitar Hero 3.
Exactly.
It's the best I can do.
Yeah.
And that's just up to the blue button. Like anything past that with the orange button where I have to slide, no, I can't do that. I can't do that at all.
And I used to do have fun looking up drum solo videos, and the one that would always end up coming up, and Dave, I'm sure you know this, is the Slipknot one on the platform.
Yeah. Yes, I know what you're talking about. With Joey.
I was never like a big listener to like the rest of their stuff, but like that drum performance is like, I mean, even without even if the performance itself wasn't that great, the concept of the video is just like, what?
Okay, so here's Andy McKee right here. This is what I'm talking about. This is how he keeps a fucking drum beat. How do you do that? I mean, this is back in 20. Yeah, this is. It's crazy. Like, what the hell? And then he just goes. What is that? What is he doing? I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. He's not even playing it right. He's not even playing like down over here where you're supposed to play. He's just playing on the fucking neck.
See, and that's the thing is like, what is supposed to play in the guitar?
I know.
That's
no, I'm not saying he's not playing it right, but I'm just saying, yeah.
Right, I get what you're saying.
The fact that he's just like,
yeah.
Have you ever heard of Phil Keggy?
No.
He did some similar stuff. He was really good. He was like, he did a bunch of Christian stuff though, so he didn't always like break mainstream, but there's always been like urban legend, which I have probably isn't true, but like I've heard it enough times that like it's one of those things that people say that someone asked Jimi Hendrix one time in an interview what it's like to be the best guitarist in the world, and he said, I don't know, you'd have to ask Phil Keggy.
Oh, really?
But,
wow.
I feel like there's a story like that. Like I've heard
for like everybody.
For everybody, like that.
Yeah.
Didn't they ask Clapton that? And he's like, I don't know, ask Prince or something like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, so, every great guitarist will never say that they are the greatest guitarist.
Yeah.
They'll point at somebody else.
But he does a bunch of that kind of stuff. He's crazy because he's missing a finger.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, even going like to Tony Iommi. I mean, how we got that fucking metal sound. I mean, if you watch like a documentary on Black Sabbath and the origins of metal, he literally was working at a steel plant, and he worked on a machine that he's never worked on. But the guy called off, so they had to get him to get on there. He sliced like the tips of his fingers off, and he was like, dude. He's like, I got to play guitar. So what did he do? He down-tuned his guitar and put these and he melted rubber on his fingertips just so he can or it was on this hand because he's a lefty. So just to hold, so he can hold the chords. And that's what created the metal the detuned guitar. Crazy. A freak accident.
That's like a musical Ronnie Lott story.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just, it's crazy. So that's where we got that detuned metal sound.
That's insane.
Was because Tony Iommi sliced the tips of his two middle fingers off, and he just had to work with it, and he created that down-tuned fucking riff kind of that Black Sabbath started, and then all other metal bands were like, we're gonna do that.
Speaking of which, do you know what has 10 legs, 9 arms, and sucks?
Oh, what are you, the Riddler? What's going on here, Mr. Edward Enigma? All right, say that again. Sorry.
What has 10 legs, 9 arms, and sucks?
Ken, you got to know this. Do you know this? I don't know this.
What?
Leopard.
Oh no!
What did you say? Damn it! What did you say? What did you say?
Oh man!
What has 10 legs, 9 arms, and sucks?
Yeah. What?
Def Leppard.
Oh man, that's terrible. Yeah,
see, you know what?
I love it. I love it.
But I like the. We have different because we've been talking to drummers and guitarists, and any name I could give you is probably going to be jazz, and somebody you've probably never heard of. But that's the beauty. That's the beauty of the diaspora.
But I love that. I love that riddle. Dude, I can't get over that shit. I'm like, oh my god, it's so obvious. Oh man,
wow.
But that's magnificent too. The guy, the fact that they had a drummer that had one arm. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Well, if you've seen videos of him, like the way he worked that double bass pedal. I mean,
Yeah.
speaking of people adapting to their
Yeah.
condition, it's like, oh wow, that is next level. It's
Yeah.
like
And the fact that like you're hitting that hi-hat and then keeping the beat and then hitting everything else. And how do you do drum fills? You can't do drum fills with one arm. You can't. But he worked it out. He adapted and it worked. And that band is still performing.
well,
Jesus
and it's crazy when people that have totally different topic, but Amanda was on a huge kick watching all these like rock climbing documentaries like Free Solo and a bunch of other stuff. And there's this dude who
can't watch those.
he is the only person to free climb the what is it, the specific
I know what you're
face,
talking about.
a specific rock face on the big mountain everyone climbs. So I don't know half the story, but it was a big deal. But he lost 2 of his fingers, or just one of his fingers, but it was like his index finger, which like as a climber, that is a very important tool in your hand. And like he just spent like months just like pushing the nub down into sand. Like he just had like a cup of sand that he was just like grinding the finger into until like he had killed the nerves enough so that he could then start working it out. And then he like turned these fingers into like his fingers were jacked. I mean, compared to the rest of his hand, it was like, oh wow, you use those fingers a lot. And watching him climb, and then he ended up being like one of the most successful like climbers. And it's just insane to watch that stuff where it's like, wow, like, and that is like he became the best by like overcoming that. Imagine if like someone were to put that much effort into like, I don't know, it's just impressive to me when you get such innovation and expertise out of someone that's like, oh no, my ability to do this well has been taken away, and I will use this opportunity to do it better than anybody else ever has now as a result. It's like Beethoven being deaf or like whatever.
Right?
What? How?
Well, Dave, you know Jim Abbott.
Yeah.
How the hell do you how do you throw a no-hitter with one hand?
Yeah, exactly. The fact that he would put the glove on the stump, throw the pitch, and then quickly put the glove on his left hand.
Pitching and fielding with the same hand.
Yeah, exactly. Like how did he accomplish the fact that guy was like one of the most, during his time, everybody like knew who he was, how he performed, and he performed well. How do you do that? I mean, the fact that, when you play baseball, you have to have 2 hands. And somehow he accomplished that with one hand.
Right. In the major leagues. At the highest level.
Be a pitcher.
And it's not just a matter of like a loss of like dexterity or whatever, but the thing that always blew my mind, and this is I'm full of useful stats that are probably totally bogus, but interesting thought experiments. That I always heard was like, if you lost like your pinky toe, you would need to basically relearn how to walk. Because it throws off your balance to like such, and like you like think about the way you walk and like you roll off of that. And imagine weird. That was missing, and how much that would influence your ability there. And so then you imagine like losing a finger or losing an entire hand. It's not just a matter of like throwing and catching a baseball, but like with that hand, but like the act of throwing, it throws off your follow through and your balance and everything. Something you've been doing your entire life one way. I mean, I don't know if he lost it or when.
No, he was born.
He was born with
it.
Okay, so
yeah.
So he was actually an advantage.
He's always had that. He's always had like that stump that he just never had a hand, but he overcame it. That's the thing. It's like, and it was always pretty magical to see. Like he literally he would place the glove over the stump, pitch it, and then when he threw the pitch, he immediately went whoop and just was ready to catch.
And can't emphasize this enough. This dude pitched for the Yankees. When he threw the no-hitter, he was on the New York Yankees.
For the Yankees,
it'd be one thing if minor leagues or Pop Warner or not Pop Warner, but something not the highest level. But this guy got to the highest level and was in the league for years.
Yeah, he was mainly an Angel, but then he got traded to the Yankees.
Yes.
That's where he pitched a no-hitter, which was insane. It's just
yeah.
It was Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, you just people adapt. That's what we do. That's what we do best, I guess you could say. You know, it's pretty crazy. But I don't know. You guys want to wrap this thing up? I mean, we can right now. We're just under 3 hours, which is
That's
a
nice sweet spot.
Yeah, it's in a little nice sweet spot. I know everybody's a little later, but of course, me and Ken are like, it's only almost, it's just under 11 o'clock. Because I know Ken, you're also in California. You're like, you said you were Ken. You said you were like you're in LA area, of course, but you said you're
yeah.
You're mainly
in Burbank.
Burbank. Okay,
Burbank,
yeah, that's
okay.
right. Because you said that you'd have to like do the yeah. It's sad that when you're in LA County, if you have to like drive somewhere, you really got to go like, oh, that's gonna suck, no matter what. Even though you're in the same county, it's gonna suck. I mean, like that's one of the main reasons why I don't really go into LA, because my God, no matter what time of day, it could be on a Saturday at 2 a.m. You're still gonna hit traffic. You are. I mean, even where I'm at right here, I got the.
You're in Chino, right? Or
no, I'm in Moval, actually, Moreno Valley.
oh, okay.
It's in Riverside County. Yeah. So, I'm like probably about 12 minutes out of Chino, something like that. 12, maybe 15. But I'm like an hour and change out of LA. But yeah, sometimes it's just like, oh man, no matter what, you're going to hit traffic no matter what. I mean, even right here on the 60 freeway, I have the 60 freeway, like it's literally like not too far off this wall right here. And just the way that it curves right here, no matter what, always going to be traffic. It's just crazy. So that's why it's like, as much as I would like to frequent some of the things in LA, I just kind of go,
long try.
Yeah, it's just the way it is nowadays.
Have either one of you driven anywhere in the Midwest? Like anywhere?
Probably, maybe. No, probably when I was a kid when I did a cross country thing, but no.
So we have a thing up here that exists nowhere else. It's called the Michigan left. It is literally a situation. Steven, you've been up here before. You may have encountered this. You and Amanda may have encountered this, but it is literally a case where you're essentially turning right to go left. That is essentially what you're doing, because
you've got that a little bit in Jersey too, because they've got all those jug handles.
Yeah, that is true, but like it's basically like the major arteries like Telegraph or like Woodward, where it's like you're talking 4-lane traffic north and south, and there's a divider in between, right? And so like intersections are just entirely too high octane. You're not making a left turn. This is not going to happen. So what you do is you make a right and you go down the street, but you must be certain that you are in the far left-hand lane, because what's going to happen is in that divider, there will be a curve that you will turn into, and there'll be a light, and then it will allow you to make the left that you wanted to make 1,300 feet ago. Now, and then you.
No, there's some of that here. There's some of that here. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like, you can't get across where you want to because maybe there's an island or maybe there's something that's going on where it prevents you, Even last night when, the IMAX I go to, I don't frequent that at all. And then like when I got out of it, I was hungry still. I was like, I need to get some food or something like that. And then of course it was like, I literally had to go down this way to just go back to get to the freeway because just the way that everything was designed. So I don't know if that's kind of similar. Who knows? But
kind of. Well, they're also starting to put roundabouts all over the place.
Yeah.
Like I
love roundabouts, but it seems like some places are like in a rush. Like we need a roundabout. And
roundabouts are terrifying.
Roundabouts can be pretty creepy because there's the town I used to live in. They upgraded. They were like roundabouts everywhere. Let's do this,
dude.
The problem with a roundabout, you have four-way stops, which nobody knows how to take turns on, so it just turns into a cluster.
Dude,
roundabouts make way more sense
like
than
double dutch. Like when you did the jump ropes thing, you're like, oh shit, when am I gonna fucking jump into this thing? You know,
totally. Yes.
And so like nobody knows when it's their turn, and so they don't go, and then they do go, and then it doesn't follow it should like be clockwise. A roundabout is supposed to fix that because all you do is you just watch the person to your right, and you kind of give them, and then everyone watches the person to their right, and you go around and around, and everyone splits off, and it's fine. The problem is that but because of our PTSD with four-way stops, nobody's fucking trusting the person to their right.
And not only that, but it totally, if you're not careful, you will totally be Clark Griswold in European Vacation. Hey, look, kids, there's Big Ben, there's Parliament. That's totally that's what it was. He got stuck in a fucking roundabout. That's entirely what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And he couldn't get over the left. Couldn't do it.
Make a Michigan.
I know those crazy roundabouts. All right, let's go around the horn and promote ourselves. All right, go ahead, Steven. Well, no, you know what, Ken, you go first. You were the guest tonight. Go ahead and promote yourself on YouTube and whatnot.
Sure. No, just you can follow me on Twitter, powerless_ness at Twitter.
There you go. Follow him for all his, all the screenings that he saw. We still don't know what the last screening he saw. I think it has the word "the" in front of it. Anyways, but thank you, Ken. It was great talking to you, as as I thought
Good
it would
times,
be.
man.
Yeah, definitely good times. Steven, go ahead.
I'm Stephen Colbert. You can find me at SM Colbert on Twitter and most other places. And you can find my writing at screenrant.com. And also podcasting with Andrew Dice at snyderminute.com. We just published one of the Army of the Dead episodes on the time loop theory that we recorded like back when the movie came out. So check that out, and hopefully we've got more on that coming soon with Army of Thieves, which I have things to say about in the near future. And then also I interviewed Bruce Timm yesterday, and hopefully some of that will be going up soon.
I know. Cool. I'm very jealous. So is Scott, and we both equally said.
Throw a knife at Steven.
Yeah. You interviewed Toyman? That's awesome.
Yeah. You interviewed the Toyman.
That is all I think of.
The Grey Ghost episode, yeah.
That's all I think of when I see him now.
Crazy. Man. All right, go ahead, Ray.
At the Flightcast on Twitter. My weekly podcast, The Flightcast, can be found wherever podcasts can be found, and also at theflightcast.com, which is where my blog posts are as well. Tomorrow, hopefully, should be my review of Dune. If I wake up early enough and, after the Michigan game, I'll get it in and talk about it. And then I also have my Patreon, patreon.com/theflightcast, where all of my extra stuff, and my Sicario review is up there, and I'm totally going to post a review of Prisoners and Enemy when I get through that as well. Like I said, my Denis Villeneuve catch-up, and also some comic reviews and other secret discussions I've had.
When we heard about the fact that you needed to catch up with Daniel, we were like, Ray!
Yeah.
Exactly what we were saying.
Yes, very much so. And of course, I'm also co-hosting Fans Without Borders with Brent over at Squadcast Media. Our last episode was a review of Venom Let There Be Carnage, which was the last movie I saw in theaters most recently.
Right.
I probably
that you can talk about.
Yes, well, I could.
I know.
I don't. I am not fortunate enough to see movies that I can't talk about. I am not at that level yet. So
right. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate it. You guys clicking in. Make sure you smash that like, thumbs up before you leave. If you want to join, make sure you subscribe. Do all that stuff. Of course, I'll be on this thing tomorrow talking to Scott about a new Batman episode. Still trying to figure out exactly what time, because I know he's doing another thing, so it might be a little later. But then of course we have the Patreon stream, so if you guys want to take part of that, join the Patreon and come on and talk. Which episode? We're God damn it, I totally forgot. You know what, I'm drawing a blank right now. We just did Vendetta, Trying to remember exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we did Vendetta last weekend, which was
that
such a great episode. That's the Killer Croc episode.
I was gonna say that was the first Croc episode, right?
Yeah,
him and Bullock. Yes.
Oh yeah, such a great episode. I mean, I always love it when like you watch the episode and like and revisit, you go, God damn, this was a really good episode. And then when I talk to Scott, I'm like, this was a goddamn really good episode because of his excitement with it too. You know, this is kind of the dynamic, like, you know, that I got inspiration from with Steven and Dice when they were doing their BVS by the minute. I was like, I want something like that, but with something else. And that's where this all got inspired. It really did. I got inspired by BVS by the minute because I was listening to those guys and I was like, I want to do something like that with something else. And then
well, you'll have to ask Phil Keggy what that's like.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, so now I gotta, you know, I gotta give Steven credit, you know. So yeah. Anyways.
Throw a knife at Steven.
Anyways, guys, hit that like, thumbs up, do all that stuff. We had a good time tonight, and thank you, Ken, for being the guest.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime if you want to join, just let me know, man. Just
cool.
Talk some movies and stuff. Always. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.